Are you tired of feeders ruining your games in League? SkillCapped is an instructional site that will help you carry so hard it won't matter. With new video guides every single day, I highly recommend you give it a shot. Check out skillcapped.com today.
But maybe, you know, crazy things happen. The very last couple of matches they get to play turn around, and we are in a champ select to see how these teams can fare.
Yeah, I think it was actually in week 7 when NRG was able to 2-0 Envy. It was kind of like this one moment where you thought maybe NRG was going to be able to turn it around, but since then they've just ended up losing all their games. So they need to be able to kind of recapture whatever it was against Envy that was able to have success. GBM's got to wake up a little bit. That's one of the longest yawns I have seen from a human being.
Wow.
It's done now.
All right, he's good. I actually wonder if anyone ever watches like Champ Select like on YouTube with like sped up speed or just like a normal yawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
In case you want to watch Champ Select in slow-mo, actually, once that happened to us in Challenger last split or last year, we accidentally played Champ Select at half speed because it's, Champ Select's pre-recorded.
For Challenger
in that year, because
yeah.
it's played online, and so we had like a 12-minute long Champ Select. And I just imagine like watching GBM yawn for 70 seconds.
Oh boy. Anyway, these bans are coming through. Alawi has been something that Quas has been able to draw as a ban since he's really the one that put in the time to master that champion. Other teams aren't super used to playing against it. I'm really interested to see how COD's pick and bans go with this. Obviously, he has been the analyst for them for quite a while, but when you see Zix on stage, he's really commanding as far as COD's champion select goes. So obviously they would have been still working back and forth for preparation despite Zix being ill.
Yeah.
Curious to see if they have any issues here though.
Generally speaking, a couple teams have allowed me to sit in on their champ selects in LCS, and they typically come in knowing almost everything they're going to do already. They've already theory crafted all the pick bans. You very often with top tier teams have very little talk during champ select if things go according to plan, because they've planned for all the contingencies, and this contingency says first pick Malzahar. Seems everyone loves his champion now.
Exactly. Interesting to see the Hecarim ban as well. Could have been something that Xmithy would pick up, even though Darshan has a game on it. Definitely a champ that has been able to take over a few games from the jungle. Dardoch and Inori both with double-digit kill scores in individual games with it. But the Malzahar pick, I think, is just the best one for COG right now. He has had tremendous performances on it, and it's a power pick right now.
And it's also very important that they banned Zilean as well. TSM sort of famously yesterday, actually, against Immortals, brought Zilean into Malzahar as the counter pick, saying, I'll just chrono shift anyone that you nether grasp. That's not going to work out for you. Zilean can push as hard as Malzahar does, and so CLG not only first picked a great mage, but banned the counter leading into it, and now NRG have to take something else. Yeah,
exactly. And NRG does go with Karma, which is another one of those priority picks from the support position. Aphromoo could have obviously picked that, but he has a very wide support champion pool, and since there were no junglers banned, I don't really think you get a huge amount of value out of the Rek'Sai. So basically it comes down to COG trading the Malzahar for Karma.
Okay, and look at this. So, yeah, Gragas Ashe coming through. So not wanting to show any other of their lanes, hoping they can maybe get a counter pick in the top lane somewhere, and also waiting to see what the support actually is here for NRG. But Ashe, the big utility carry with Sivir gone, no huge surprise there, and Jhin, I think, is also likely for OQ.
Yeah, Twitch obviously being banned away for OQ. It's kind of curious how NRG has these two champions that have worked very well for them in Twitch and Alawi.
Right.
Really, all of their success seems to come when they're on one of those two champions. So they haven't been able to expand beyond that. It made CLG's bans fairly straightforward, and I completely agree with them.
It's actually interesting to see as well, because CLG, being respectful, doing the target bans, which meant they only had one sort of free available meta ban to put in, and it was, let's just pinch the mid lane matchup. Let's make sure Malzahar has no counter pick. I always enjoy when I see that. I think it's cool on both sides. Xerath for GBM. Oh, man, blast from the past.
Yeah, GBM was the Xerath guy. We talked about how he had a long yawn. He had very long Xerath games as well back when he was on Jhin. They were 60-minute plus because you could just not push into the base against him.
Wow.
Obviously, though, with Drake's being different on this patch, with Baron buff being buffing up the minions to make it harder for Xerath to clear, you can't quite stall out games the way you used to be able to, but I'm still really interested to see the Xerath laning phase against the Malzahar.
Right, because legitimately, how many times has He played this matchup? Rework Malzahar into Xerath? Probably literally zero. This might be he's literally first time playing this matchup with his champion, and you've got to play it on the LCS stage.
And we're going to get a little bit derailed because I want to mention another thing about Xerath. The Malzahar nerfs that are in on this particular patch didn't actually matter that much for most matchups. Remember, his auto attack range is reduced and his move speed was decreased by 5. The interesting thing about Xerath is his Q is tuned so precisely against move speed that a lot of times people like to rush boots so it becomes dodgeable. But here, there is potentially a champ select problem. I'm really curious to see
I
if
was
they have
told
to
what
play
it
that
was.
Warwick. Okay, what was it?
Okay, so basically, Ezreal got locked in too soon. They meant to pick Jhin. So they informed the refs. Refs said, okay, we're going to remake champ select. So CLG AFK'd their pick ban phase. The Xerath seems to be intentional. The Ezreal's supposed to be Jhin. If those of you who watched Team Liquid Academy from a couple weeks ago, the thought being that Ezreal was actually locked, but that was the wrong champion, and they said, hey, this is not what we meant to do, my bad.
Yeah.
Shame on us, but that's meant to be Jhin, and then we go in from there.
There's a clarification in Champ Select that differentiates misclicks from late decisions. Because if you lock in the wrong champion with plenty of time left on the timer and immediately inform the referees before the opponent team is locked in picks, you are allowed to then make the correct pick. What happened for Team Liquid Academy and Challenger is the timer went down to 0 and it erroneously locked in the wrong pick, which is then the fault of the team, not a misclick. It's an interesting distinction, but it makes sense to me because otherwise you could just like, oh yeah, we ran out of time, but we meant to do this. Give us more time, please. Whereas clearly here, NRG did have enough time to pick, and you could make the very clear argument that it was accidentally locked in. So we're going to just very quickly go back into Champ Select. They're going to simulate up to the point where the champion will be locked, and then COG will then get another fresh amount of time to lock in essentially their fourth and fifth picks.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, it should be exactly mirrored.
Okay, so that's going to be what's happening here. Malzahar, Karma Rek'Sai, Gragas Ashe, Xerath, Jhin should be the lineup here for this one, but we will still get that Xerath you were talking about. Malzahar getting attack range and movement speed nerfs, which does quite matter for a Xerath matchup.
In the Xerath matchup, Xerath can actually be a massive lane bully because the Q goes through minions, it has no damage fall off, and it's a very quick activation. So if GBM actually does get ahead in that lane against Malzahar, he could potentially crush. Malzahar also needs to close into a medium distance in order to get his spells off, and Xerath is very long range. So there's the chance that Huhi actually is in a pretty bad matchup here. I haven't seen it. Huhi probably hasn't played against it, but I think just based on the champion kits, that there's a chance Xerath could take over this lane.
Definitely agree, and you can see that NRG now have built themselves a pretty nice poke composition. They also get to counterpick for the top lane to make sure the 1-4 is solid for them, but Jhin, you press R from off the screen, life is good. Xerath does the literally exact same thing and presses R from off the screen, then clicks on you 3 or 4 times. And Karma can help make sure the team can disengage. Santorin has some early pressure on the Rek'Sai. NRG, I think, can really make this composition work. I like what it's looking like. The question is, can CLG break this apart? Thankfully for them, they do have engage tools with the Gragas and the Ashe to make sure they can get in on the poke team, but then it's still down to their actual the mechanics, the interaction with their opposing team of can we actually get in on this?
Yeah, and how much more initiation are they going to lock? And apparently it's a lot.
Yeah.
Because they can throw Shen in with the Gragas. They can also just use Aphromoo as a playmaker. And if you're thinking about how GBM and OQ are going to stand still to fire skills from long range, well, that can very easily be disrupted by Aphromu's Bard. So I really like the Bard choice there. It's often a champion that's banned against Aphromoo, regardless of the team compositions, let alone when it becomes a counter to the champions on the other side.
And what's really interesting is I wonder how good Aphro's going to be good at landing Fog of War ultimates, because Jhin and Xerath both have displays that tell you the range of the ability.
Right.
You can deduce their actual location via where Xerath's ring is, look at the, do some trigonometry as you need, look at the angle on the Jhin ulti.
Just throw in some graphing calculators.
Right, bring out your compass and go for it. But at very least via experience playing against these champions to some level, you should actually be able to reasonably accurately figure out exactly where they are and just toss the ult into Fog of War and cancel them out, potentially.
I can see that. Cross goes with Trundle. Stat stick in the top lane to go up against Darshan Shen. So this is definitely a team where Darshan is playing the conventional tank. Hopefully he's able to split or win lane. I was talking with Azael a little bit about COG's struggles and about why we were thinking that COG was kind of always really good despite their record, and that's because they had Aphromoo, who is a great playmaker in the bottom lane, and Darshan, who is a great playmaker in the top lane. And I think one of the biggest things when COG was struggling earlier on in this split was the fact that Darshan hasn't been on his game, so he hasn't been the top lane playmaker,
Right.
which then threw scrutiny actually onto the mid lane, since now it's like, well, where's the second playmaker going to be? Instead of just being like, yo, what got them here was Darshan being a playmaker. But clearly COG is kind of undergoing a bit of a transition. Darshan now on the Shen, not your traditional CLG, and it's still going to be another one of those games where it's Huhi, Stixay, damage dealers, and Aphromoo and even Xmithy as the playmakers, with Darshan just there to supplement.
Yeah, and so we'll see how good the supplementation is here from Counterlogic Gaming. Coaches shake hands. I want to give a quick shout out to Golban, who was like trying to cover his mouth with his notepad while talking, so that no one could like read lips watching the VOD afterwards. I found that really interesting. So props for him for like the extra little mile he's going for. But now it's time to get into the first game of the series. Send your vote on Twitter. Get behind your favorite squad. Hashtag CLG win. Hashtag NRG win to influence the tracker that we're going to monitor throughout the series to see which team has more fans. CLG near the top of the table, hoping to make that push for a third place seed. NRG holding on to that slim chance of making it out of the promotion tournament, just getting 7th and just sitting in regardless, not having to play for their spot at all.
Absolutely. I do want to touch on your lip reading move a little bit then. Like, that is a super common thing in American football, where play callers would just always just hold the playbook up against their mouth. It's usually like a nervous habit, but there is the chance that someone could technically lip read at some point and steal some signals from you, so why not?
Exactly. Like, you have no loss in doing this. You might as well try in case it's actually one of the team's competitive advantages. Well, the players have now spread apart. Ooh, Afro gets tagged for 8 gold. QB Kid, no, yeah, see, look at that. QB Kid outplayed him heavily.
Two of the LCS veterans right there after
Yeah.
QB Kid going against each other.
They both played in Spring Split 2013, I believe.
Absolutely.
The Kiwi Kid was a top laner. Oh, that's all the gold right there.
Afro's in a little bit of trouble, though. He might have to...
OQ should learn W. I think he already learned Q or something.
Yeah.
And here comes the re-engage. Actually, Zerath losing a lot of health. Sticks going to put the slows down. Why is OQ still attacking? He can kill Afro. Ooh, that heal came in to save his life, but he's running out of health. Body slam's not going to land. Can't get the damage across, and that's the kill picked up. First blood for Darshan. And a misplayed level 1 by NRG.
Absolutely, and that's one of those things that require a lot of trust in your team, because it's not a level 1 that you practice like, okay, we're going to trade a little bit of damage, I'm going to get caught in the river, but the other team's not going to have 5 people, so we're going to collapse down on them, because that's essentially what COG had to pull off there. They recognized that NRG was doing a defensive line. Aphromoo was caught in what could have been a bad situation, but instead of burning his flash very early for safety, he thought, he kind of ad-libbed and said, hey, we can actually turn this around if they overcommit. Let's watch this again, because look at the positioning. Like, there's a defensive line going on all over the place, and Aphromoo is actually alone, but they have pole position from the mid lane. They can send 3 people across, so as long as Kiwi Kid and OQ move up a little bit, they can pinch, and that's exactly what they do right here. OQ spends time doing too much damage. He could have ran up with Kiwi Kid and been completely safe, but he was getting a little bit greedy for damage. Once he uses both summoner spells, he's completely trapped.
Yeah.
And first blood over to Darshan. It's a great start for COG, although he does have to back at the very start of the lane.
He does. Yeah, Darshan running away from the lane swap. We are in one of those. Also, OQ made a pretty cardinal sin that I feel like most top players wouldn't do, which is you learn your first ability before people ever attack you. He had the dancing grenade.
Oh, Quas is under the turret.
They're going to dive him. Sun's going to land. Quas maybe shouldn't even be here. Flashes away. Does go down. No kill back on Aphromoo. Santorin, I don't think can do enough here. So just a silly defense that NRG did not do properly, and now they're down 2 kills right away.
This is actually really interesting, because in the last few weeks of LCS, NRG has been trying to basically punish teams for taking shortcuts and lane swaps by defending the turret more and more. COG wasn't having any of it. They execute a very easy 3-man to 1 dive because Santorin wasn't quite in position, even though they were on low levels, and it's going to continue, actually.
Wow, Quas tried to punish the fact that Stixay pulled aggro and ends up losing the trade because CLG reacted perfectly. And now, what if a second dive comes through? Darshan's in a bit of a risk. He doesn't have flash.
But at the very least, he's pushing them off the turret.
Yeah, he does deny XP by doing this. NRG couldn't fight back for fear of Ashen Bard killing them. So, wow, CLG getting quite a lot out of this. Yes, NRG absorbs some XP, but this turret's not going to die. CLG are going to get theirs, and life is difficult for NRG.
Yeah, there's...
Gonna lose their red buff, too.
There's a lot of things that did not go well for NRG right there, but I also do credit COG for adapting to the situations. Like, while we were replaying the first blood, actually, Darshan had to burn his flash in top lane because he was trying to leech a little bit of experience. But at the end of the day, he backed away because he respected Santorin's potential of being there.
Right.
Whereas here, when Quas was on the turret, he was thinking, okay, it's like a level 1 Bard, like a level 2 Ashe, and maybe a level 1 or 2 Shen. He thought as Trundle he'd be able to withstand that dive. And also, it's always really hard to point out which wave a team dives on, because you're trying to punish all of these patterns from teams. COG dove on a very early wave right there, and Quas didn't expect it.
Well, slow on to Huhi. Here comes the gank from 3 members. Huhi's learned all summoner spells. He's running out of HP, but here comes the counter gank. Kill still comes through. Nice job by GBM and the rest of his teammates to get one back. Finally something on the board for NRG.
Yeah, and all summoners burned in that gank as well. Huhi burned both, and xMithy even burned the flash. That's a really punishing gank to go down that way, and GBM was able to maintain all of his summoner spells in that engagement. So that is the type of thing that NRG need to go their way, since the previous kills had been very in the favor of COG.
I think there's a good chance Kiwi Kid resumes and comes back to the gank as well. Huhi missing all his summoners, but GBM and Kiwi Kid have all of theirs, and they're slow into the setup.
Huhi was just trying to make sure the wave was shoved in, stuck around to auto attack at last minion to secure a last hit, and that pushed him just a little bit too far in. Also noting how the ward coverage was actually in the favor of NRG there, since COG had back after their bottom lane dive, so it was a window of time where the map was dark, and it was just the right time for NRG to gank. Great roam by Kiwi Kid, actually.
Absolutely, yeah, on the back half of sort of recalling their bot lane back down to the bot lane, and yeah, they lined up quite well on this one. Shout out to them for making sure they landed the auto attacks as well. They actually used all their cooldowns, and Huhi had 100 HP left, and a couple autos from Kiwi Kid and GBM sealed the deal. 1,500 though, the gold deficit. Not great for NRG, but maybe they can turn something around later on in this game. Push pressure still coming in, and right now Huhi, despite actually being ganked, is doing well in this lane.
Yeah, but really pay attention to the fact that he finished an item instead of an early upgrade of boots. He got caught by the last 2 Qs from GBM and actually has to back right away. Expect him to buy boots and then come back to lane, because if you don't have boots, as I was talking about, the Q, if aimed properly, can actually be undodgeable from Xerath at early ranks. So Huhi now has boots, and now at least he has a chance to dodge the Xerath Q.
Yeah, I remember actually when we were coding Cassiopeia bot, actually, her Q was undodgeable because just the delay on that ability versus the AoE, and Xerath in a similar situation, if you do it right. The fun joy of being humans is you still have to
Aim.
Yeah, you have to aim and you have to account for reflexes, that if he jukes within a quarter second, you didn't react to seeing that because it's just not possible for you. And sometimes you can mind game your opponents, but either way, yes. Life is hard for Huhi. He's got to try to find ways to dodge this. It's not going to be easy. GBM, a veteran on this Xerath. xMithy has hit level 6 already. He's roaming to the top side of the map, looking to maybe pressure Quas, who had counterpicked this matchup, but he's up against Darshan, who's got a kill and an assist. And
he's not level 6 yet, so he can't ult.
And that's a lot of damage. Knocks him away from the turret, but Darshan's running out of health. Has a flash away from the turret that would kill him. Here comes Santorin to try to save him from xMithy, and that's going to be the case. Nice damage out of the Rex side. They will not kill off Quas. They deny some of the farm, though.
Yeah, timing of that flash was critical for Quas. He was able to avoid the damage from xMithy's ultimate, and I think that could have been fatal. So Quas able to escape that gank, and then Santorin comes in to make sure xMithy can't chase. But that doesn't get him completely out of the woods.
Yeah, plenty of regen spent now by CLT to hope to redo the gank. Santorin says, don't you dare. It lets Quas get away, and now we see if Quas will use teleport or just walk to get back in. Darshan's TP's back up, and of course he's Shen, so he's going to have that window. GBM has to ghost to get away from xMithy. Gregor's ulti was down, but you still have to respect the body slam.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it would have turned into anything. Huhi, I don't think, was in range for his own ulti.
Yeah, that was one of those things where GBM was being a little bit overly cautious, which you can't really fault him for. But I do believe it was an unnecessary ghost, based on the positioning of Huhi. You do have to respect greatly a Malzahar in lane, though. Just
definitely.
The ultimate is such an easy follow-up.
Right. So an understandable choice by GBM. Kiwi Kid making a nice play and leashing for his mid laner. Props to Kiwi Kid being a wonderful teammate, as Santorin was busy holding up Quas in the top lane, so resources sent elsewhere. AD carries have ultimates, and in fact, here's Jin in the mid lane, who he gets the passive turned off, but runs away fast enough, burning his ghost to get away.
Yeah, a little peculiar how OQ decided to just run into the mid lane to throw his ultimate off. He's going to be running into the Malzahar passive, so even if he lands the first shot, he's not going to apply a slow for crowd control.
At least he made him burn a ghost, and I think, you know, it's a moderately short cooldown. His outer turret's already dead, so, like, at least the opportunity cost was low for that play. Sure. But yes, the expected payoff very, very low, and unsurprisingly, nothing super important happens, and he's back down to the bottom lane to clear the wave. And it's interesting, it's this is a similar matchup to what we had in TSM versus Immortals yesterday, and talking with Cop and Bunny Fufu, they're saying basically Jin has really terrible minion wave pushing. He's really slow at it. And so CLG, because of this, should always have priority on shoving the bot lane in, and basically always have priority on bot side of the map. Unsurprisingly, bot's shoved in, he's a free trade.
Yeah, and something we actually didn't touch on earlier on in this game is when NRG was trying to defend the bottom lane turret with Quas and Santorin, that also meant they weren't fast pushing the other side. So when the defense fails, they don't actually have the people on the other side of the map to get the turret. So it's been a very poor early game in general for NRG, losing the Drake now on top of it. But they do want Darshan. They could think about sending a 3-man dive with Kiwi Kid and Santorin. It is difficult to kill a Shen this early, but they do have a numbers advantage, a pretty big one with OQ coming up as well.
All right, here comes the attempted dive. Curtain called, roughly up right now, so Darshan might be in danger. He sniffed it out, he's running away. Here comes the knockup for Santorin, into the root for Kiwi Kid as well, lots of tools. And Curtain Call is going to land one bullet, and he's out of range for the rest. Darshan gets another shield, gets exhausted, goes into the dodge zone, and he's going to get taken out. Well played. NRG getting up another kill, tying that score. And now they play turret trades the opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, full 4-man gank though, so that means the inner turret is going to go very easily over to CLG. I think if NRG gets the gold from the outer turret, they can still technically win this trade since they kill and a turret. But from a map pressure perspective, I think it's a loss, because now a bunch of wards are being placed in their jungle, and CLG is able to shove all the way up into the inhibitor.
I do want to give some props to NRG though, because the gold deficit is only 500 despite being down a turret worth 800 gold. So I gotta say there's certainly a lot of
hope.
Yeah, dedication still here. NRG is still trying to make sure they can hold on. Right now they're certainly okay. This lead is far from insurmountable.
I agree. Being able to get those 2 kills is incredibly important. Darshan hasn't been able to pull ahead of Quas, and as a Shen, that's not really something that will happen going into a Trundle. So Darshan, all of his farm will generally be only if Quas isn't in that lane. The mid lane and the bottom lane matchups are going even, if not favorable, for NRG. So despite what I would call some questionable choices in the early game, their play in the mid lane, the roams of Kiwi Kid, have all been quite effective, and that's what pulled them back into this game.
Yeah, props to Kiwi Kid for playing quite well in this one. Huhi sniped up again. Nice skill shot accuracy by OQ. And now we get to see the next part of this game is it's NRG continue to play aggressively. Quas pulls turret dagger, but he's got bot lane pushed in with that Tiamat. He's going to be pretty fast at it. NRG definitely going to have priority on whichever lane Quas goes to, if he's in a 1v1 or a 1v0.
Yeah, and this is actually Darshan trying to defend a turret again, where he doesn't have the numbers to back himself up. CLG are all in the mid lane, maybe running down, but they could be a little bit late to this.
They're looking to start a fight, though. It looks like the rest of the team roaming around. Malzahar is far, though. Xerath could join first. NRG able to walk away cleanly enough. No real threat on them. And yeah, Santorin said, hey, you've got to be more proactive to play League of Legends well to win this game. And NRG's actually been more proactive in the sort of last 6 minutes.
For sure. It's a game of cat and mouse as well, trying to catch each other in different positions. They arrow Kiwi Kid.
Maybe an unnecessary flash. Looks like no one else was in range, but was afraid that if the arrow lands, it's got to be nearby. Turns out that wasn't the case, but now he has flashed to the other side of the map. Quas gets tilted down in time to be very, very tanky. The Malefic Visions are on. Xerath wants to help, but he's actually out of range for most of this. He goes to snipe Afro, can't quite get it, and now the chase is on as Darshan's running out of health. A quick hot Coco comes in. There's the taunt. There's the kill picked up. Afro getting his first of the game. A little more poke coming out of OQ. GBM is here, lands another Q across. Kiwi Kid putting in a slow, and looks like CLG still getting whittled down by the Xerath. The Arcana Pulse getting rid of some of the minions, and just going to be the 1-for-0 advantage Counter Logic Gaming, but out of health, we'll have to recall.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward gank there by CLG, and they kept their distance and were very careful not to overcommit into the Xerath and the Jhin. It is very hard if you're not already close to the Xerath and Jhin to follow up on anything, but a pretty non-committal gank. Like, if you think about summoner spells used by CLG, super low. They pretty much just used the Malzahar ultimate, and they're able to come away with the kill.
Yep. Nicely done by them, and as they wait for the cooldowns to come back up, you can see CLG continue to go for that play. They actually didn't use any flashes in that fight, so they've got them all up for the next time.
Yeah, and I do feel like Huhi could have prepped this ultimate a little bit better, but if you're looking at what happened over on this side, it's kind of what we talked about, the double ultimate from GPM and Jhin. Aphromoo ulted one of them, just journeyed away, and that is one of the things that delayed NRG from supporting the rest of his dive. So thank you, the observers, for pointing that out to us, since there was a collapse from both teams heading down there, and looks like Aframu outplayed it.
And well done by him to get away without burning too much for himself. And now we get to see CLG running around with just this 700 gold lead. Again, this is less than you get from having a turret and a kill. So NRG winning in the farm game. You can see GBM completely holding up in the mid lane, and what's becoming a pretty sizable lead for Quas over Darshan. A nice root's going to come in. He's got a flash to get into the magical journey, just trying to get away from all the concentric circles. And the final snipe just doesn't do enough damage to Darshan, to Aframu, as there's just not that many items yet on OQ. Scuttle Crab goes to Huhi.
They're looking
to pick off Kiwi Kid.
It would be a 3v2 dive with potential counter gank, so...
Root is in, another root arrow's gonna land. There's this, not gonna be the stun, but it's gonna be enough barrels. And just gets barreled over now. The Flash Naga comes in, Shuttle to keep Stixxay alive. He will do so. Bartleby to disengage the enemy marksman, and it's a nice aim once again. Now the taunt coming through to delay Quas. Pillar in, Stixxay's really low. Nice flash, good chase. OQ setting it up beautifully.
Yeah, Stixxay got a little bit too far forward. The pre-setup to that fight was really good from CLG, but the continuation...
It might get worse for CLG. Ulti on the Quas right now, but Huhi's got a flash away from everybody else. A nice kill picked up on the Quas. They're going to maybe trade top lane. Darshan burning down. Deathfire touch, not doing enough damage. And now it's CLG forced to run for the hills. No further snipes available yet for NRG. So that will be CLG picking up another positive kill for themselves.
Yeah, it makes the overall engagement a 2-for-1. One thing that is a little bit disheartening for CLG is that so many of the kills are going over to xSmithy, and even the one onto Aframu.
Right.
They would definitely like those kills to be distributed more on mid, top, and AD. But there's still positive plays overall. Watching this, you know, they know that Kiwi Kid is level 6 with a fairly squishy support. So all they have to do is land an arrow into a Bard stun, into an ultimate, and they burst him down pretty quickly. Getting the exhaust is a nice bonus. Then the continuation is actually pretty good from CLG at the start, because they do the Shen ultimate, and here they actually get a little greedy and think, hey, we can turn this around. Does he really want to complete this teleport? But as Darshan taunts away, Stixxay gets in front, gets cut off by the Trundle Pillar, gets rooted by OQ, which leads to the flash from Quas, and that's just a whole lot of pain all at once that I don't think he was expecting, but could have been ultimately avoided. The fight continues though. Huhi pops his ultimate while he has his passive up, which stops Santorin from being able to stop him. They burst him and then quickly run away. So nice in and out team fighting from CLG overall, and they get the 2-for-1.
Yeah, well played by them. And you can see 1,600 their gold lead. They're pressuring the top set of the map right now. And in fact, Darshan is alone split push in the bot lane. So now CLG playing much better with the minion waves. And they have threat here, but NRG, of course, they have resources. Darshan has teleport. Here comes the Jhin ulti, but the magical journey is there. Afro is gonna not get rooted in time. Takes the slow path over, but here comes the assassination. Good pickup. Everyone is there, and look at the barrage. Stixxay having a flash away from this one. Poked out, but he's gonna live. But look at the collapse, the range that NRG has.
Seriously, and with no turret behind CLG, the magical journey will only take you so far. Props to NRG for that engage, but they will give up a Drake for it. So at the end of it, not that negative of a trade, despite how good the fight looked for NRG.
Yeah, the top turret already gone anyway, so you're right, not a lot they can capitalize on with those kills. 1,000, the difference, but 2 Drakes definitely matter. CLG having the combat stats and the turret taking stats as well. Next one up going to be Ocean, so if they play these long poke games, that'll be actually not too bad of a thing for them. We'll see as that pushes forward, but certainly a tense game and closer than I think many were going to expect coming into the series.
Especially with how it started. First blood going over to Darshan.
2-0 at 3
dying
minutes.
under his turret right away, giving a 1-for-0 turret trade. Like, those are things that you're thinking. CLG being only 2 losses in the second half of the season, and NRG only 4 wins on the entire split. You'd think that that kind of start would just lead to 25-minute CLG victory, but definitely hasn't been the case. I think GBM Xerath is showing up.
And doing good work. You see Huhi dropped to half HP, and the thing is playing Xerath and a Malzahar is a game of skill shot accuracy. You must land the first passive, then you have to land the rest during the 20-second lockup before it resumes.
True. And
so GBM hits him, waits a second, hits him twice more, then Huhi's at half. And he's doing that pretty reliably. GBM's been getting quite a lot of priority in that lane.
Definitely. Although COG, once again, ahead on the turret push. just way ahead on the turret push.
Yeah, this turret's probably going to go down without much answer. Okay, here comes the rest of NRG. 4 are in range. Quas does not have teleport. This would not be a good team fight except for that catch.
Oh.
Doesn't lead the target right, and there is the Bard ultimate. Tempered Fate tempers NRG's expectations, and out they go. Stixxay staying alive without burning any summoners. Quas will get the turret, so Temple or not, NRG is still answering reasonably well in some of these cases.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more standing gold for CLG in this game, though, as they have 2 turrets still up, so the map control is in favor. But that does mean if NRG win a fight and take a few turrets, they can slingshot that gold back a little bit. GBM's going to need to get a blue buff if he wants to keep spamming like this. One interesting thing is a lot of Xerath's lane dominance does come from his ability to auto-attack to get some of his mana resetting, but you don't want to walk into the range of Malzahar to do that. So this game he's playing where he's poking out and shoving lane very quickly. He is pretty mana hungry right now.
Yep. Asmorel Anomicon, which is only going to give him that extra mana restore when he gets a killer assist right now. And Luden's Echo might be next up, which isn't going to help that case either. And look at this, the blue buff still. You mentioned the importance of it, and CLG are on this to make sure it happens. The best teams never let you get any buffs, and CLG trying to make sure that happens, so good by them. 2,000 gold lead. Darshan has control over this bot side of the map. Stixxay sent to hold up on the left. You see Santorin looking for more plays. 1, 1, and 3.
Well, with Stixxay over on the top side of the map, you'd think NRG would try and make a move for some control in the mid lane, especially with the Rylai's Crystal Scepter done on GBM.
Yeah, that's the one.
Could be a point of contention.
Sets up his ultimate. If he lands one piece, it's much harder to dodge the rest. So Luden's would have been a better burst item, but Rylai's is much better for consistency. If you land it slow, you're going to get more.
And they want to be able to chase down, too. So it's like a Xerath ultimate into a Jhin shot, into another shot from Xerath, and they can kind of chain them together. I think that's the idea of this Xerath Jhin poke.
Definitely.
Fiesta.
And it could look very good. One's going to turn into the other. Even Trundle, actually. I think back to the old poke comp days when Nidalee mid was super popular and whatnot. Yep. Trundle was the really common jungle or top lane pickup to set up the pillar to make the skill shot accuracy easier. Pillar has a very long range. It's a guaranteed slow. It even blocks your pathing. And that's been the combo for, I think, literally 5 years in League of Legends. And here's Trundle once again in a nice poke team, and unfortunate for CLG, well, they gave Trundle a good matchup with their Gen pickup. And now, here comes the damage towards the Smithy. 1 miss, 2 hits.
Gotta land the first one. Oh, he slowed. Here we go.
Yeah, Afro gets chunked down to half, but sadly, OQ had no more bullets left. If he had maybe held on to them, the setup could have been different, and that's not going to be the case here. CLG withstand 2 full channel ultimates and still feel okay to fight.
Yeah, they at least feel okay to stay in the mid lane. Be tricky to engage onto them with no great sustain on the team.
Well, Ocean Drake in a minute and a half can help them. A quick battle for dominance in the bot jungle, but careful because Kiwi Kid is here. Santorin buffed up. Xmithy down below 1,000 health. A pillar to even help that. Xmithy, wow, they have to burn Stand United. He might still go down. That CLG wanting to engage. They've got the stun on a Santorin. Explosive cast turns the backline right back in. Trying to go for Xmithy. Can't quite kill him off. Santorin gets downed. Great by Afro. Another re-engage on towards Quas. Tempered Fate stops through the backline, but it means the arrow doesn't land. But maybe there's going to be more for the setup. 2 for 0 so far for CLG. Looking for Kiwi Kid slowed down. Pinched, and he's going to be taken out by the Voidlings. Just maybe. No, not quite going to get him out. Kiwi Kid survives, but a 2 for 0 to CLG. Mid lane wave alive enough to get some turret damage as well.
And still a good turn by CLG, even if the beautiful ultimate from Aframu was a little bit over the top because of Stixxay's Ash Arrow coming through. The 2 for 0 allowed them to take the mid lane turret as well, and I think take pretty decent control of this game now.
Really nicely played. Counterlogic Gaming up 4,500. We will be seeing that fight again, I'm sure of it, as Smithy takes his red buff away.
Yeah, lots of really close interactions. So Xmithy is thinking about turning this the entire time because they know the Jhin and the Xerath ultimates are down and those guys are stuck in mid lane. So really this aggression from Quas and Santorin can be turned around. Huni flanks in with his passive up. So even though Kiwi Kid tries to break it, he gets a great ultimate off, hitting both Quas and Santorin. Then the ultimate from Xmithy makes it even harder to retreat. Ignite ticks down Santorin. Quas gets killed with a bunch of damage. Then Temper Fate, but that means the Ash Arrow goes right through them. If he could have saved that until after the flashes, he probably could have gone up and hit either Kiwi Kid or GBM with that, but that's asking a whole lot. The Bard ultimate hitting is still pretty awesome for them. It doesn't lead to any kills, but it does burn 2 flashes.
Exactly, the setup was there. Shen or Bard could have gotten the kill afterwards, so NRG had to run away. The Ocean Drake is now alive. The NRG ultis are back up for the most part, but so are 3 of kind of logic gaming. So no Shen ulti, no Bard ulti, but NRG have 5. So that's a potential cooldown advantage. 700 teleports up on both sides, so that's not a problem. They can both join the fight. However, CLG are the ones holding most of the map control around this Ocean Drake. Yes, there's a Scuttle Crab taken by Santorin, but it might not matter. CLG going to burn this one down quickly enough. The attempted steal not going to happen. Great pickup right there by CLG. And that is 3 Drakes picked up. It's good for Counter Logic Gaming.
Yeah. I wonder if they go for something here. It's a little bit aggressive.
Santorin, 3-man, knock up the engager. Here come the ulti pop. Huhi gonna run out of health pretty fast. A lot of snipes coming through. They do pick him off. A 1-for-1 jungler for mid laner. Better for NRG. 6 has to dodge away from the skill shots as well. GBM gonna land a slow. Has to make him flash away from the stun, and the snipe's gonna come through and stun out Aphromoo. But the arrow's there for GBM.
Whoa,
the taunts in as well. They've got so much crowd control. They've got him picked off, and now it's Quas stuck in the front line. They're trying to burn down Xmithy. The crit's gonna be there. OQ reloads, goes in. The taunt's not quite gonna land for Darshan, and he's actually gonna tank what would have killed Aphromoo with the deadly flourish. Shield is in for Kiwi Kid. They're going to let OQ kite away. A great route. Kiwi Kid playing this fight well, but he's now out of mana. Darshan looking for the play, but a two-man slow. Kiwi Kid playing this perfectly to keep OQ alive, but he's out of places to go, and they will finally get the pick with a nice magical journey to put Stixxay in range. We're going to go over to CLG, and another team fight win for the blue team.
Yes, such interesting fights where NRG is trying to win the fight with poke, but they're not necessarily able to stop CLG from getting the engages that they want, which is the Achilles heel of poke compositions if you can't keep the other team at a distance. And the beginning of this actually looks great for NRG. CLG decides to go a little bit aggressive. The pillar stops a little bit of Aphromoo, and Santorin goes in because, you know, everyone's here. A little bit of a hard engage for poke comp, but that's because they can get a kill on Huhi early, and they actually stop the Shen from arriving via ultimate. But then Darshan teleports, and here's what NRG need to be able to run away. The Temper Fate stops GBM, they chain it with 2 stuns, then a taunt, so GBM is just completely dead. And because all the ultimates from NRG are used in the initiation, they can't really stick around in this fight. Like, they should have been just a full-on run away. OQ decided to stick around a little bit. Darshan gets close to him. Aphromoo knows all of the limits on Bard, so he can then get a nice magical journey to go in, and now we're actually going to see a fight of Baron.
All right, here comes the Baron race. Santorin does not have flash. He'd have to use his tunnel to get in there. Gets stunned up. Huhi ults, and they can burn it down. They're trying to, and yes, that is a counter logic gaming Baron pickup. Nice by them. Pillar going to try to block them off, but it's not going to mean much. Quas now in the front line. Root's going to find Xmithy. Here come the snipes, but careful. There's an Ash Arrow and a potential kill in a GBM. Gets a shield, but he's getting a lot of damage back. Quas running out of health. The Voidling's in the chase.
Beautiful.
And a great Tempered Fate's going to be 2 more kills for CLG. Maybe they can get a third. They'll look with the magical drainer to find one more. Santorin over the wall. OQ gets out with the Youmuu's Ghost Blade. Darshan wants this taunt. He makes the flash happen into the body slam, into the kill, into the pickup for Stixxay. Nicely done. 13-5. 8,000 gold up with a Baron buff.
CLG is just looking like they have so much control and discipline, and you can tell their communication is so clean. What could have been a risky Baron becomes a safe Baron because the Malzahar and the Gragas use all their skills to make the steal an impossibility. They get the Baron, and then they're very disciplined about the way they go for the fights. NRG has no way of dealing with Aphromoov's perfect play on Bard right now. The Temper Fates are coming at just the right time, and maybe they end the game.
I think they're going to get at least a Nexus turret. I don't know if they can get more because the respawns are in just a few seconds. They're going to stay for the second turret here, but CLG don't have a ton of health right now. They're all at half.
Yeah,
They've got to give some respect. Here comes the Xerath ulti. Looks for Stixxay. Can't quite get it. They've engaged in a GBM with another Nethergrass. They've taken him out. Plus a turret as well. It's now OQ back up. They're looking for the kill in Darshan. Crits him down to 5 HP, but can't pick it up. And now the damage out of the Nexus. That should be the game. Going over to counter Logic Gaming. 1-0 in 28 minutes.
Jeez. Funny how during the cast we joked that, you know, with a start like CLG had, you were kind of expecting like a 25-minute win. But NRG's really fought back in this one to apparently make it a 27-minute win. Like, CLG did turn the corner at around 20 minutes right there and never looked back as far as that game goes, because NRG did fight
hours, and we are seeing the fruits of this labor for many of these teams. TSM and Immortals, for example, guaranteed to be in the top 2 heading into the playoffs, and many are very excited about those teams. CLG hoping to join that upper echelon, maybe be the 3rd team to go to Worlds.
And really, these picks and bans are somewhat mirrored. CLG with the same first 2 bans as they had on the other side. NRG more banning what had beaten them. But to kind of get back to that point, CLG are the back-to-back defending champ.
Right.
Like, let's be completely clear about that. They had 3/5 of that roster return for the spring split, and then technically, going into this split, they were more likely than ever to win it because they returned their entire roster for the first time and had also had a great showing at a major international event. So it would seem like they would have just cruised through this split. Things are never as they seem, obviously. A lot of improvement happened in North America. I think COG did get a little bit worse at the start of the split, but they are definitely on the path to improvement. I still want to see Darshan recapture that dominant best top laner or close to best top laner in North America feel, because then I think COG really turns the corner and has a legitimate chance of defending their championship. Until that happens, though, I think they're still sitting around 3rd place. They still have some time to get that done. Rest of the regular split, 2 weeks before the first round of playoffs, and a lot of league left to be played.
So we'll see what is going to be left here. I like the bans coming through. CLG, right? They get one meta ban, essentially. Again, kind of the energy tax, and it's the Hecarim pinching Rek'Sai as a top-tier jungler right now, saying, yeah, Sivir's up there is really important, Karma's up there is important, Malzar's off the table, so who cares about that? And I would be shocked if they didn't go for Rek'Sai here themselves. I think that makes the most sense based on their ban trends and what had been picked before by their opposing team. And then the question is what you put alongside it, and they've got to figure out what that's going to be.
Sivir Karma is a tremendous lane. I'm really curious to see if COD takes one half of that, since the playmaking of Bard would have been taken away from Aphromoo from the ban phase. A little bit of discussion going on here.
I think back to the CLG Immortal set, and they kind of let Karma go every single time to that squad, and they didn't seem to care too much about playing that champion. Actually changing things up, once again looking at it is going to be the Karma, and actually not the Rek'Sai. I am actually very surprised. I feel like you ban a jungler to give Santorin the best jungler, and I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah.
When you clearly had a chance to pick this one if you wanted, Lucian was not going to go anywhere.
I definitely feel like the best jungler is up for debate as far as champion picks go, because if you look at various different regions, a lot of times Gragas would be first picked or banned. We've seen a lot of different picks, and technically COG played into that matchup last game, wasn't punished by Santorin's Rek'Sai. Xmith made a bunch of plays on Gragas, so I think that would be why they'd be more likely to pick the Karma. And then when they pick the Lucian after that, they're basically just looking to counterpick everything.
Right.
Counterpick jungle, counterpick mid, counterpick top, as many counterpicks as they can get, because they've just locked in their lane, and they could even move that Karma mid if they really need to.
Yeah, and I guess the thought is actually you want him to play the Rek'Sai then and say, yeah, go ahead and go after this matchup. So Santorin saying maybe he doesn't want to do that. You'd mentioned higher priority on Gragas. That was a consideration. They've not yet locked it in. You can see they've been hesitant, and it's actually going to be the Taric to go in there, but also another Vladimir for GBM.
Taric Sivir. Obviously, Taric has undergone a lot of changes, but I've always loved those two champions together. Especially now, the Taric's done obviously a little bit less reliable, but when you pair it with Sivir, can be move sped up a little bit. Also, just Sivir does love to be able to stand still and ricochet. Sometimes you get into a little bit of trouble if there's people diving on top of her.
Right.
I think Taric still pairs very well with Sivir, even though the kit is completely different than it used to be.
I think there's a lot of fun synergies, right? Generally speaking, melee supports tend to be slightly weaker laners, while Sivir's going to auto shove the whole time, so you don't really even play a fair laning phase. Another point about this one is like, hey, you know, they both want to team fight and play big 5-on-5. So great, both those ults are great for that. In fact, the whole team, let's go. And then Sivir makes sure they can all run fast to guarantee they can get inside the circles that Taric's putting down that you're going to be turning invincible inside of. So like, little fun interactions all the way across the kit. Cassiopeia going to be the counter pick in the mid lane against this Vladimir, and in fact they will finally go for this Rek'Sai themselves. Still wanted to play the champion at some point. Maybe once they got more information, they decided this is what they actually wanted to do.
Kuhi's Cassiopeia has been one of the champions in which he's made his resurgence in the North American LCS with, so I like the fact that they're picking it here, and also I like the fact that they're picking it into a known matchup. It's pretty unlikely that Quas takes the Vladimir top, although it is still possible, but we'll know for sure by the time NRG locks in these last two picks.
Yeah, unlikely, but always an option. Here we go on the last couple of hovers here. Shout outs to Rammus, but for real though, it's going to be something else, we're pretty sure. Olaf in the jungle, that's going to be interesting if it's the case.
Would work well with the Sivir.
Yeah.
As far as running fast.
And you can be immune to the Cassiopeia scariness, and I think I've seen plenty of players say they really do like Olaf into Rek'Sai as the matchup.
This could actually just be straight up terrifying if they lock that in, because not only can you be sped up by the Sivir and immune to CC because of your ultimate, you can also be immune to damage for 2.5 seconds because of Taric. So like, that is actually terrifying.
Literally cannot interact with Olaf in any way.
Yes, for that small period of time, you can only run.
Wow. Okay, that's going to be the case, and with the Gnar top lane blind pick, the counter is actually going to be Darshan playing Gangplank Irelia was up. He could have gone for the matchup, didn't want to. Wanted to play Gangplank. I didn't think this matchup was that great for GP, but Darshan and the rest of CLG seemed to think so. They lost no time in locking that in.
Yeah, Darshan with a lot of confidence in here, or they just... Yeah, I think this is mainly a confidence choice right here. I'm really curious, actually, to see if Santorin switches over to Ghost, because I see very little reason for him to stay with Flash unless he thinks he's fast enough with just the Sivir, but...
Well, I know Summoners don't update during the 60 seconds swap period for spectators, so...
I know, but I'm watching in the client right now, and he's still sitting on Flash with 4 seconds left. Sometimes you just forget.
That's true. That happens.
I'd also seen a few Flash Olafs when they're up against a Jarvan or something because they want to be able to Flash. He did switch to Ghost with like half a second remaining, but running it close.
Well, yeah, again, it doesn't update for spectators until the last second.
Oh, this spectator?
During the, like, that's just how it works, actually,
okay.
If you spectate feed. You just, for 60 seconds, it doesn't update for you. But yes, he went for the Ghost. In the nick of time, maybe not. Who knows? But we are getting ourselves into game 2 right now. Darshan's Gangplank coming out. You've got the scariest Olaf comp you could maybe even consider at this point. Sivir and Taric and all that. The Vladimir running fast as well. Certainly a very powerful 5-on-5 comp for energy. It's a cohesive champ select for them, much like in the previous game. Game 1 was Poke. Game 2 about the 5-on-5. Good chance for that. CLG in a similar boat, though, of course. Karma, Gangplank, Cassiopeia, no slouches in this regard.
Yeah.
But hoping for some level of lane dominance, though. Lucian, Karma being the bot lane. Like, you want to find a 2-on-2, and you want to win your lane.
Exactly. There was a small bug in the loading, so we're going to be in a quick pause. That'll hopefully be resolved very soon. But I do want to speak to the bottom lane matchup a little bit more, specifically the supports, because CLG did get a lot of success with Aphromoo. I don't want to make it a meme, but like the range supports, they were very successful. A lot through the laning phase and just some of the utility they were bringing later in the game. Even so much so that by the end of the tournament, SKT had completely switched off of the tank supports and played exclusively Nami against them in the final, like just going all in on the ranged metagame. Yet, as the split has progressed in LCK, if you go and tune into those LCK matchups, or even just look at the match histories, they're just back on melee support.
Trundle, Tahm Kench, Alistar, Braum, every game.
Exactly, and I can't figure out whether this just gentleman's agreement that, like, we like playing tank supports, this ranged thing is no longer fun, or if they've just, like, found these tweaks to either get around the laning weaknesses and still getting the better team compositions with the tank supports. And I always look forward to not range versus range or melee versus melee, but specifically melee versus range, because I want to see how these interact. And it's probably not the greatest difference when you have a CLG team that is fairly far ahead of energy, but still excited nonetheless to watch Kiwi Kid and OQ go up against Tixay and Aphromoo.
Definitely agree.
Champs.
And a lot of times, talking with players about how these matches play out, it's like, yeah, you're passively losing all the time into your jungler ganks. And then you've got a stun or, you know, a flash Braum Q or something that sets up the fight. And it's about making the play. You have to do something actively to turn the matchup back around. And in those realms, it now feels balanced because you have the playmaking tools. And we'll see if those tools are utilized. OQ had enough attack speed. Well played. This time around, learning the ricochet and getting the auto attack reset right on time. Well played. Extra golden XP to him. Tixay, this board's going to be pretty safe. And no big surprises really anywhere.
And here's another kind of interesting wrinkle in this lane situation. CLG is trying to sniff out the lane swap. We said they would want to kind of dominate with the Lucian and Karma, but do they want to dodge the top lane matchup? Does Darshan want to play against Quas? Because the ranged Mininar can bully Gangplank a little bit early and even a little bit more into the mid late game if he's mid game if he's able to get ahead. So maybe this is just one of those situations where CLG doesn't want Darshan to lane, but this is actually really interesting what's happening here.
CLG gonna walk into the 2-on-2. I believe they saw him in the brush, and yeah, Aphromoo and Tixay say, you know what? Your level 1 damage is so bad, you can't really push us around right here. Lucian and Karma's gonna outtrade the Taric Sivir. So pretty safe road in. OQ sadly missing 1 CS, but they're gonna be fine. And CLG's gonna hope that they can hit level 2 at a reasonable clip here. So Energy shoving this wave in pretty fast. Yeah,
so great start by Energy getting the shove early. Also, with the quickness in which Quas was willing to teleport down to the bottom lane to match Darshan, it seems like Energy is totally okay with playing these lanes straight up. They think they have an advantage with Quas. If there is a disadvantage with OQ and Kiwi Kid, they seem pretty confident. Sivir can split a lot of matchups if she is able to shove in the lane. And so far, at least with the early level 2, they can keep this shoved for a little bit.
And you saw right there the threat of level 2. Kiwi Kid had a Relic Shield stack, and CLG said, run away, he's going to hit level 2, get out of this one. And we're able to get away from what could have been a dazzle. Smithy looking for a counter jungle onto Santorin, gets the Raptors and says, hi, yeah, no, I took that camp, peace. And Santorin will be sad. The counter jungling did happen to him.
Yeah.
Smithy making his way to the bot side.
Santorin guesses wrong a little bit.
Smithy took that entire bot. I just realized he took like the entire
He
bot.
started on that side and just completely cleared it. That
So
was his opening play. So technically Santorin can run up and match this, but Smithy's going to get a red buff gank into Squash. You could still outplay this.
Yeah, he should know that gets away. Smithy could not find the knockup. Good angle on the leap. He could have been interrupted mid-hop if he went the wrong angle. He did not do so. He played it right. And yeah, now the question is, can they answer all the farm right now? Because Santorin's going to get the jungle.
And Hui's got to actually be very careful right here because they lost control of that top side. Hui should know this.
Oh, nicely played. Yeah, Santorin pops the Ghost. He was already bastioned up by KiwiKid, so he could duo the stun in there. And nice little synergy. KiwiKid roams out and kind of buddy stuns with Olaf, forces Hui's flash, and of course they could just go there again. He hasn't gotten the ward control for it.
Yeah, I think it's really important that Santorin get off to a good start in this game because if he is able to get a little bit ahead in this game, the augmentation that the rest of the team gives him, like the combination of Tarek and Saber powering up an Olaf, is crazy good.
So CLG realized a little bit late what's going on. They look towards the red buff, say, oh, no, it's already gone. Just kidding. Nothing we can do here. It looks like they were busy getting pushed in by OQ. And you can see NRG, because of their AD carry pick, right? Because the champion they're playing, were able to get enough priority in the lane to let their support roam out, to let their jungler invade and take some buffs away, and it lines up pretty well for them.
Trying to bully as much as possible in that top lane. COD had shoved pretty substantially, so that's why they roamed into the red buff. They got to be careful, though. Santorin, no Ghost.
Another repeat gank is going to be a couple of slows landing. Stun's going to... Oh, he didn't flash it quite right. KiwiKid could not land the Dazzle onto Aphromoo. And it's a trade of summoners. Actually, advantage CLG's exhaust is also down.
Yeah, I really like the idea from KiwiKid to try and flash, but Aphromoo just had such a great angle. A lot of people would flash straight backwards. KiwiKid just tried to react, but basically the timing in which Aphromoo flashed away wouldn't have given enough time for KiwiKid to react flash in the right timing. Like, Aphromoo played that really well.
Yeah, it's another fun point is mind gaming reaction speed. If you do it within a quarter second, you just can't process the information fast enough and click to make your Dazzle land. KiwiKid tried, didn't happen. And again, a very well-played escape by Aphromoo. And it's going to be, right now, though, a 200, the small gold lead for NRG. They're doing great in the mid lane. They're actually not winning the top lane matchup, this Quas vs Darshan matchup, the solo lanes down there. Darshan actually doing excellently.
Yeah.
Yes, he got a gank early on, but still doing very well in a matchup that was maybe a little bit risky.
He got a gank early on. Quas's jungler and support were on the other side of the map the entire time, so I imagine the team was telling him, like, yo, just don't die. Also, Darshan was able to start in the lane, whereas Quas had to teleport to the lane, so he had to have another level of carefulness if he engages in any big trades. Darshan would be able to reset. So even though the Mininar can be a really good laner early, I think there were a lot of inbuilt advantages that COG had in that one-on-one lane to give Darshan the ability to get the CS advantage.
The map changing how the one-on-one would play otherwise. Nicely done. And yeah, NRG taking the safer road. You know, 200 gold from CS, like, not really going to win you or lose you the game. That's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. And Darshan just getting rid of the minions the best he can. Last hits quite a few of them. As Gangplank's do is going the Bandit Mastery as opposed to Dangerous Game, because if you parlay his face, you get 10 gold for it.
All right.
Darshan might try. Squaw's not going to give him the chance.
Yeah, Gangplank not necessarily a playmaker early, but as he farms up towards the late game, it gives COG that nice insurance. The amount of damage they're going to be able to put out with a Cassiopeia and a Gangplank is extremely high. Also, trying to do his best to zone Quas out some of these CS.
Plus 190, take the turret shot back for about half that. And yeah, battling for this farm as best they can right here is 300 gold lead CLG this time around. As there's very large waves left to clear up. See if Santorin can keep the pressure over onto Xmithy. Looking at their individual levels, they're almost identical. Tiny lead for Santorin right now.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting the way the junglers are pathing this game, because both junglers are technically supporting their weaker laner, which is then negating the weakness of that lane. Like, Stixxay and Aphromoo can't get aggressive because there's constantly a Tarek and an Olaf roaming around up there.
Right.
And the same is kind of true for Quas versus Darshan.
GBM, though, continues to have pressure on that side. A nice stun's going to land. Darshan did not have oranges up. Pops the ulti, and he's going to clear away some of his minion wave. But, yeah, Darshan's been spamming oranges on cooldown to heal, and Quas, knowing that cooldown was there, Just came in and smacked him down. Unlucky.
Third or fourth CS I've actually seen him miss just based on timing.
A lot of it is he's unwilling to parlay the actual minions. He's keeping that cooldown up at all times so he can trade back on the Quas. One of the reasons he's able to do well in this matchup is, look, at all times he can just barrel Q and win the trade against Quas. Be careful though, he's running out of HP. Darshan, huge mistake, flashed away. Quas doesn't quite land the boomerang, but Xmithie is now here. As long as they play it right, it's a bad situation for Quas. Lands the boomerang, but there's the poison, there's the kill, and there's first blood in for Darshan. The bait is successful.
Yeah, he didn't have the mastery, but that was a dangerous game he was playing right there. Because if he doesn't dodge that Q from Quas, he probably dies. A lot of confidence in himself, though, and Quas does take the bait entirely. Works out for CLG. Well played by Darshan.
Wow, all right, so CLG looking pretty good in this one. 600 gold lead for themselves. The minion farm is fluctuating back and forth. OQ and KiwiKid actually up sizably. You're seeing plus 15, and now here comes the teleport play. They're all showed up for the top side of the map.
Five-man gang.
This is not good for Stixxay and Afro. Exhaust is on. KiwiKid pulls Dagger Robot. Now OQ has it, jumps away. Stixxay's dead. Who's next up? It's GBM. He can drop Dagger afterwards. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Thank you very much. 2 kills on that one.
Yeah, that's one of those things where CLG would have just had to back away if they wanted any chance of surviving. The jungle pressure that Santornis had in that top side this whole game, they easily had wards prepped in the right place. GBM was even able to roam up. It's double kill. They're going to probably end up trading turrets because the best COG could do once they were in that situation with Stixxay and Afro being dead is trade the turrets. But overall, that is just a really good move by NRG. They took initiative. They did the 5-man gank. They understood that this wasn't going to be able to be counterplayed. And yeah, they have Olaf up. Quas teleports in. Just for icing on the cake, there's a Vladimir here too, who's ghosted up. They even get the first kill onto OQ, which is ideal. They get the second kill onto GBM, which is great. The 2 carries get the kills. Great 5-man game.
Really, really nicely done. And that's going to tie up the gold right now. You can see this game, outer turret has died on both sides. Darshan got his, and of course the NRG 5-man squad got theirs. So that resource has been tied up here. And we once again have ourselves a very competitive game at 10 minutes here of NRG versus Counter Logic Gaming. And you know, I think we would have liked to see NRG play this well for more of the split. It's been a pretty rough run for them, but the chance is still there. Keep in mind that NRG right now are 1 match behind Phoenix 1, and that puts them in 9th instead of 8th. There's actually a very important seeding difference on being 9th and being 8th. If you're 8th, you play the winner of Echo Fox versus Team Liquid Academy.
Right.
And that's a reasonably easy match for teams of this caliber. If you're 9th, you play Cloud9 Challenger, who is generally speaking a harder team to play against, and makes your road much more difficult. NRG needs to win either against CLG or tomorrow against TSM to have a chance at grabbing 8th away.
That's a lot of damage.
Looking for the flash dive. The heal's not there in time. He takes him out. Petrifying gaze under the turret, and whoops, NRG biting off more than they can chew.
Yeah, and I think in trying to push against CLG to move up in those seeds, they are getting baited a little bit. Like, that was another clear bait by Huhi. And GBM's not quite able to get the kill. Like, both GBM and Quas are thinking, yo, I want to go for the solo kill. This is my opportunity. But they're taking some pretty big risks in doing so. And both of CLG kills have actually just come from baiting GBM. Like, you don't actually see baits work that often in pro play.
Right.
Like, it's usually pretty obvious when someone's putting himself in a bad position. That's like obviously bad. But maybe it's the NRG greed kind of taking over. Both solo laners have fallen.
That's going to be the Mountain Drake picked up. Counter Logic Gaming feeling good about this one. 1,200 gold, a nice Drake pickup. And KiwiKid wants to stop Darshan's recall, but did he really just get baited by a recall? Like, that's a knockup. That's oh, he couldn't chain the barrels. It wasn't close enough together. And yeah, he's going to be all right with this one.
That would be. It's like he flashes forward to stop the recall. Yeah. KiwiKid was playing pretty safe there. He had OQ behind him to speed him up with Sivir if that would have been necessary.
Yeah, risk not too great right there. Bot lane pressure is here, and Xmithie is waiting in the wings to reinforce his team. He rushed Ninja Tabby, by the way. It's a very physical, damage-heavy NRG squad. Xmithie is boots 2 already.
Yeah, watch this one. The Rek'Sai ults over. GBM is in between the turret, and Xmithie's just like, okay, I will hit you now. But then even now, GBM could run away.
But he thought he had it.
Until Afamu gets there.
And he's going to do the exact same thing in the exact same place and not get the exact same result. Xmithie running away, and suddenly the hunters become the hunted. That axe hit him again. Afamu's not going to save this turret, so NRG this time around, the initiative does work out for them.
Yeah, Hui had burned the flash in the previous escape, and this time Santorin is able to just assist GBM. Should clarify that Aftermoon had also flanked while that turret dive was happening for GBM, so that was more just straight up greed than anything else from GBM to be between the turret. But now he's a 2-kill Vladimir. That's pretty good.
That is pretty sizable for him. Turret score now 2-2 as they've continued to trade things back and forth. Mid lane outer, of course, NRG picked that up recently. CLG took top lane outer not long ago themselves. And once again, it's NRG trying to make the play first. And guess what? No one is here to defend this turret. Just a cannon barrage, which turns out is not quite no one.
Gangplank's here. He's everywhere.
And it does save the turret, while giving Darshan the ability to shove in the wave. CLG have their dual lane back maybe in time to defend that turret.
Yeah, watch this one more time. He throws out his miasma. No more slow field, and really GBM. I feel like GBM made his own call there, and Santorin's like, please, I can help too. I don't think he even got an assist on the kill.
I didn't see him touch him.
That was a solo kill by GBM.
I can go back and check to make absolutely sure.
Oh, he did get an assist. He has 3 assists on 3 kills.
Right, so yes, that's the answer.
He must have landed an axe before the full dive or something.
He might have smited, that's easy.
Huh? Yep, could be chilling smite. Smote.
Smote. A ward in the back line. They did not see OQ. And KiwiKid has a sweeper, so no ward allowed for you, Counterlogic Gaming. Similar, the think ward goes down. Now we'll see Xmithie go for a red buff steal. So again, a very, very tight game right now. GBM happy to play aggressively. It feels like he's gotten some of his swagger back. And Santorin actually...
No, it was Hui gets it.
Oh, Hui got it. Santorin got 30 gold for killing something else. I think he like docked the ward down or something. I think he like took small parts of the red buff. I just saw gold pop up. You're right. Hui got the red buff. He has it. And now it's some threat on a GBM. Minion wave cleared. Mid lane is down as well. Counterlogic Gaming continues to knock down turrets pretty successfully. They've gotten 3 already. It's been a very aggressive game, actually, of teams looking for structures to kill off.
Yeah, favor to map pressure, and Darshan's also getting very far ahead of Quas. So even if this game stays relatively close in gold, like the Cassiopeia and Darshan and Darshan's Gangplank seem like they're going to be doing pretty well in team fights.
Yeah.
Overall,
Force is done.
Overall, though, with like the Terra and Sivir, it could equalize when they're getting super late games. So, not that COG should be playing with a lack of urgency, but they definitely do have good scaling.
Yes.
If they can't make plays now, they still have the opportunity to make them later.
There's certainly not an obvious winner at a 60-minute team fight, so that's it. One easy way to put it. Bottom lane, priority was to CLG, though that would send to the bottom tier 2 turret. Flash engage again. GBM really likes fighting Hui. Just look at the damage up what he's got. Nice dive, petrifying gaze. Here comes Santorin. This time it's not an assist. He gets the kill, chops the axe down, and here's the re-engage in the mid lane. Look at all the damage of it coming across. Darshan tries to kill off Santorin. He does so, and Xmithie now to re-engage. GBM can heal right now. Too much health back. Xmithie should not be in this fight anymore. Tunnels away to his Raptor Pit. And that is a 1-for-1 mid laner and jungler trading lives.
Yeah, super close fight, and GBM, call it greed or something else, he's going for it.
Yeah.
And he was successful in this one to get another kill onto Hui. The really quick turnaback when Hui tried to get the petrifying gaze was beautiful from GBM in that duel.
Where was this GBM all split? Like, why hasn't NRG just looked this great? Because I know CLG is playing reasonably well, and NRG actually playing great themselves. It's just unfortunate for them that they're 4-12 heading into this. But if this is the form that they're in, this bodes well for their chances of staying in the spring split.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest to answer questions for GBM in particular, because he was in the upper echelon of Korean mid laners and then comes to North American, and statistically he's near the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he hasn't had some great standout performances.
Right.
But he's also had some massive duds. So I think a lot of it is inconsistency. A lot of it is just champion matchups and pools. Like, I also don't think he gives his opponent that much respect. Like, he plays so loose that sometimes that allows him to make the big plays, but more often than not this year, he's been punished for it. Even though this game, it's working out.
It's looking like Quas is in a bad spot. He's going to land the slow, going to land the knockup, and Quas is out of ways to get out of this fight, so he's going to drop down. CLG get the 4th kill of the game. It will be an equal trade of tier 2 turrets on opposite sides of the map, but it's +1 kill for Quas, not realizing he was in this much danger. A nice gank by Xmithie to get around behind him, land the smite, land the knockup. 3 assists for him, but now Huhi's got to respect the fact that NRG coming around. He is a bit late to the party, but he's okay.
Yeah, they shift over to mid lane to try and get that one, while CLG is actually pressuring the inhibitor turret. Gangplank has a global. They can actually hold this turret pretty well. Maybe even keep the turret
Stopping
alive.
the recalls,
Meanwhile,
backdoor
the inhibitor's
bonus
going
is
down.
on. Inhibitor turret goes down, Inhibitor itself. And this is CLG defending 2 versus 4, by the way. They're not losing much of anything. Quas going to try to keep the inhib alive. He won't.
To get the Vladimir ultimate out in retreat, it's just Quas respawning, but I don't think he can save this. Maybe they kill him again.
There's some risk there. Six doesn't want to fight the champion, though. He wants to kill off the inhibitor and get out. He knows the rest of NRG are collapsing, and in fact, they are. If they play it right, NRG can grab 3 kills for this. Quas is going to kill Afromu. He's got the Frozen Mallet, gets the Summoner heal, Naka comes back in, now he's Mega Gnar, here comes Kiwi Kid, the re-engage GBM one-star Sean, he's probably going to get him, yes he does, nicely done, a re-engage by Huhi coming in to try to kill him back off, but looks like GBM has managed to escape the escape the Cassiopeia on the Vladimir.
Wow.
A 1-for-0 to NRG, CLG able to slink away, still of course advantage to them.
Yeah, the fact that they're able to kill so many turrets is a temporary advantage, but the permanence of this advantage I actually think isn't necessarily known because it's such an early inhibitor trade, and unless they can take more turrets off of that pressure, they're actually just going to be forfeiting a lane of farm right there. As this collapse was happening, Darshan was looking to stop GBM and Oki, but they turned around on him, and we end up getting a fight. Oki doesn't want to chase through the miasma, but GBM doesn't care. He just goes right through, kills Darshan, and then even though he flashed, the poison had wore off, so it did not enough, and he can just run away with his ghost.
Abyssal Scepter, gotta feel good for GBM. The Magic's just a big deal. Counterlogic Gaming able to reset faster, though, despite losing a champion most recently, and they've picked up Cloud Drake for themselves. Out of combat movement speed and the bonus damage to turrets thanks to the Mountain Drake. You imagine if NRG had had that Drake, that mid turret would have probably fallen. Mid tier 2 is very, very low, so those Drakes actually coming into play right here because of how tight the inhibitor kill even was for CLG, but now they've got the rotation speed and the building killing speed. KiwiKid has to run away from Smithy. Does so cleanly enough. CLG trying to pressure the rest of the map down to the bot side.
And you can tell COD has a sense of urgency right now. With the way GBM is popping off in this game, going 3-1 so far, and with the down inhibitor, COG immediately needs to create pressure on the other side of the map. I think NRG is relatively well prepared for this, however, because Quas could teleport in and he's shoved out the super minions.
Poison's in to zone out some of the engage. Here comes Olaf on the backside. Active plan just yet, but he's going to run in, pick it up, and find something else to kill. Loses half the health bar. Now Darshan is joining the squad. Quas is Mega Gnar right now in the top lane, feeling good.
That feels like a big miss from NRG right there. Burning the Sivir ultimate and not hard engaging. Santorin didn't have his ghost step yet. I thought that was going to be a teleport and a big play, but now they're backing away, and by the time the teleport can come in, he'd be mini Gnar.
Nice 3-man barrel's going to land for some poke. Huhi's miasma helps a little as well. And that's going to be, Mega Gnar timing out. Sadly for NRG, they had no deep ward, so there were no flanks Quas could have gone to. So maybe if they didn't want to TP into the front and make it obvious, and they decided, well, Sivir ult's down, that's too bad. Let's not, fall into the sunk cost fallacy. It's already burned.
Sense of urgency is very real, though. That's 4 or 5 waves that Quas has been able to clear in the top lane, and that is farm that COG is just not getting. So they have to get a turret off this to prevent a negative trade.
Here comes the flash engage. Huhi's low does not land back to the Petrifying Gaze. He goes down. Santorin's got a shield. He's got a lot to do with this one. Darshan getting chunked out. Has to run. A nice Monta shield buys some time, but Styx has got to run away from this one. A big chunk of damage down into CLG as they continue to retreat. Styx stays so low. A big barrel chain comes across. Will there be a CLG re-engage? Well, if there is, it's not going to work out. Oki picks up another one. Quas now on the chase with Frozen Mallet. Throws in the stairs. A double kill now as Rek'Sai falls and the barrel chain only serves to keep Darshan alive. That is a 3-for-1 advantage. NRG, they finally found the fight they wanted.
Yeah, not only does CLG not get the turret to punish Quas for being top lane for so long, they also lose the fight, and that is disaster for CLG, actually. The inhibitor take is actually, in my opinion, punished here because of the urgency that COG had to have. Huhi gets completely blasted at the start of this fight. Santorin is able to run in and still do a bunch of damage, and GBM gets a ton off here. The barrel chain is the only thing that salvages this slightly for CLG as Darshan comboed a bunch of damage, but they still lose the fight and arguably are beginning to fall behind in the game despite having the 2 Drakes, just because of the way these fights are going.
Yeah, some miscoordination this time on CLG's side, and the game is equal in gold right now. CLG up that 1 turret, that's nice for them, but you can see the farm and the kills making NRG feel pretty good about this one. That's even with the free money that Gangplank prints from his Q and from Bandit and everything. So keep in mind, this is actually a team playing very well on the side of NRG. Darshan just now has 500 Silver Serpents. He can just now get his upgrade, and actually, I guess Bandit, or the Q gold is different from the Silver Serpent's gain, so I take that back. Either way, you can see Quas trying to hold the top lane, CLG looking at Baron.
This shows you how long inhibitors are down for. COG baiting Baron because of the Mountain Drake. Cassiopeia with a Mountain Drake can kill it extremely fast. You hear the call out, the inhibitor will be up shortly. COG would love to control this area and take the Baron, but they have to be super fearful of Sivir, Tarek, Olaf, and Vladimir just running into the Baron pit and killing them all.
And finally, blue and Hib back up. That means that top lane wave cresting the side of the map is a regular wave coming down there, so that's the limit of the crazy stuff. NRG can let Quas rejoin the team. His teleport is down, and CLG know that, and they try to use this to their advantage. Darshan has his own teleport, so now CLG can play the bot side of the map. Quas has to be very afraid of doing this himself, and Baron baits are going to be a real thing.
Yeah, Darshan has teleport, Quas doesn't, but
Yeah.
COD doesn't necessarily have a great way of initiating onto Energy. You look at their overall team composition.
Right, it's very passive.
Yeah, they kind of have to bait and just run away.
Oh,
But they haven't been able to run away.
And hopefully they can throw their Pokeball, get their next Cloud Drake picked up, because that's kind of the goal right now is, you know, stack one of these neutral objectives. Here comes the engage, here comes the Tarek ulti as well, only tags a couple, GBM's invincible. There's a stun and a Who, he taking a lot of punishment, has a flash, he will stay alive, Santorin has a kite right back out. Kiwi getting a half HP on top of this one. Darshan gets a couple of barrels across, but here comes the damage up with the Ricochet is there, Who, he's almost dead. Quick zonies by GBM, the re-engage on him, they pick him up with a barrel, nicely done, CLG get one, the re-engage on OQ, Stixay over chases though, and OQ takes him out just like in the last team fight. Now another barrel gonna come in, 400 damage on a Santorin. CLG can walk away. Bot lane tier 2 is available to them if they want to make that play. But energy push mid.
Yeah, that was great kiting in that fight to a point until Stixay had gone too far, and now they are pole position for Energy to be able to take this mid lane turret.
Dead. They finally get the rest of what they had done so long ago, and the turret score is now 5-5, and despite losing, in quotes, a team fight, Energy now up 800 gold. Yeah, 6A, of course, had died as well, so those kills did go equal because of his overextension, and that's really nice. Energy really keeping this one close. A win here, if they can take the match, would tie them with Phoenix 1 in the standings, and I believe they own the tiebreaker because of game record. And it would acquire quite a bit. The dive on Aquas, these going to be the barrels, it's going to be the smack, going to be the red, and that's going to be the kill picked up. Nice fire set to him by Darshan. Now the retreat. Sivir is here, and it's going to be scary. A nice slow in a GBM. Axe not going to land.
Goodness.
Crucially important. Darshan probably would have died if the undertow had hit. The Ghost was down for Santorin and GBM. No further chase. A nice pickup for CLG. Gives map control and probably a Cloud Drake.
Yeah, and that's the type of playmaking that Darshan needs to make if CLG wants to win this game, because it seems like the teamfight cohesion from Energy's composition is just stronger. With the way Sivir, Tarek, Olaf, and Vlad can just kind of run in, and CLG has to try and absorb, but then a split push decision is made. Darshan's able to get a kill. Darshan had already given up a lot of his advantage. Like, he had a much bigger advantage early on in the game.
Yeah.
But that kill leads to another Cloud Drake. Keeps him in the game.
Definitely does. We'll see what else Canalot Gaming can do around this Gangplank, because CLG are by some metrics losing this game. Yes, they have the buffs. Those are nice, but they don't matter once you're in a pitched 5-on-5. Something you have to consider for yourselves. We'll see if CLG can play the rotation game. Of course, they've got 50 bonus out of combat movement speed. Like, they can get in and out of things pretty easily. Sivir ulti almost just like ties what Cloud Drake does at this point. It's an exaggeration, but it's not terribly far from the truth.
I mean, you and I are casting a game, and we haven't even mentioned Cloud Drake yet. How
Still
crazy
now.
is that?
There's a lot of movement speed, though. Like,
Did you
CLG
know
can
it's
really...
better than 3 of the previous Cloud Drakes?
Thanks, chat. I did know that.
No, but it actually is somewhat important in this matchup to have that out of common move speed. Not as crazy as you would think, though, just because Energy has so much more with the Ghosts and the Sivir that can run them down. This is a very dangerous Baron, though, for Energy.
And this Energy taking it without any Drakes themselves. Of course, they don't have that mountain damage output here. CLG coming around. Here's the Sivir ulti in. They're looking for the play. A big Tarek ult, and who's going to be caught? It's Xmithie who gets the wrong way, and it's just Santorin throwing axe after axe after axe. Xmithie getting worn down. Afro there for the shield. Another undertow lands, and CLG's got to get away from this one. Barrel's going to slow Kiwi. There's a stun on Xmithie, a great petrifying gaze, and it should still be the kill on to maybe. Yes, it will. Nice pickup. OQ unstoppable, having a good game for himself as well to be a great carry alongside GBM. Yet again, Energy winning a 5-on-5.
CLG looks like they're doing amazing things when they're kiting back, but they're actually not doing any damage while they're running away, so you can only run away for so long.
Yeah.
He's now dead, and Energy is going to probably just try and pull this off again. They chased for so long. Sivir ulti's already 2/3 back.
It is already almost back. This is going to be a scary thing now. GBM on a flank. This is maybe risky on either side. You never know how it's going to play out. Barrel's not going to chain together. Nice blast hitting by GBM. Here comes the attack onto him, but he's going to heal himself. 16.5 HP. He's got to run away. Huhi back up in 4 seconds. Can run back from the base. NRG looking pretty good here.
GBM and Quas have been really good at killing Darshan's barrels.
Yes.
That's one thing I want to point out. Like, they're timing that just right. Or Darshan is a little bit slow on the timing, but the outcome is that the barrels are usually dying.
Right, and the funny thing is, like, really, really good Gangplanks, you never even see the health bar hit 1.
Yeah.
It literally goes from 2 to the bullet lands, like, the frame after it turns into 1, and, right, I mean, every Gangplank player has played Gangplank more than everyone else has played against Gangplank, right? So, like, they have hundreds of games of learning this timing to actually frame perfect accuracy, which changes based on how much you've moved. It's one of the most intricate timing details in League of Legends that some of these players are ridiculously good at, and then even still some players can outplay it.
And quietly, while GBM has been being such a distraction, OQ is 5-0. And also has kind of reached critical mass on Sivir here with the 70% crit build to get the ricochets going through, making it harder and harder for COG to teamfight this. We do have to remember, though, this is COG. They were down 4 Drakes and 10,000 gold against Team Liquid last week, and then just got a 5-0 teamfight win. So you can never count them out in late-game teamfights if they can get the right start. In this game, the right start would be a good Cassiopeia ultimate or some good barrel chains.
Here comes the attempt. It's going to be the Vladimir Hemobleg across, who he's got to run away, but now he's separated from his team. His flash is down. He's going to get just attacked and assaulted and taken out right here. Nothing to do but die. GBM has slain Huhi. And again, NRG winning the team fight, taking map control. But the thing is, they're trading resources back and forth. The gold stays equal. The question is, what can NRG even do with the power play?
Yeah, they have no Mountain Drake, and this team doesn't kill Baron exceptionally fast. They're just going to look to get kill after kill and maybe pick them off one by one.
Might just get it expected at a half HP, but a barrel chain knocks down GBM a fair bit. The re-engage towards Quasi hops the wall, 5v4, 18 seconds on Huhi's Cassiopeia, and NRG down to half HP on all fronts here. They are injured.
No ultimates up for them. This is a little bit risky, depending on how much poke they can take. If a barrel chain goes in here,
Baron's
NRG would be
doing
dead.
damage. Now, NRG has to be careful to not die on this one, but Darshan doesn't have enough barrels to really chain people down. He's going to be okay. And NRG disengaged, but this is all they're really getting. They're getting 1 kill and then nothing else because of how much CLG can kite. Like, when Sivir down, CLG has 50 more move speed than you. You will not catch them again. They can choose to dictate when you fight. Lo and behold, their situation.
Out of combat move speed has been fairly useful. Karma definitely assists that as well in trying to counter the Sivir move speed. But eventually, COG will have to fight back. Like, they are just running away right now and maybe trying to get these Drakes as their win condition. Third Cloud Drake would be coming through. If NRG can control this, that's huge.
Yeah.
As far as their initiation goes, because that takes the delta from 50 to 25 as far as out of combat move speed bonus.
And it actually makes the delta even better. Something that people love to talk about is the diminishing returns on movement speed, which is one of these people didn't like Cloud Drake before, is if you're plus 50 move speed, you're really like probably plus 40 move speed. You're losing roughly 20%. Plus 25, you might get the whole 25 out of it.
Yes.
Like, you might cut the difference to 15 from 40, which is you know, percentage-wise obviously a bigger cut in this one, and that might be something that happens here for NRG, but CLG gonna hope to get it for themselves, of course.
Yeah. So the prep for this would mean that NRG should just be basically in the Dragon Pit, because that way they can chase out of it, and they're the stronger team fight. But they're not there yet, and they're actually taking poke from COG.
Even in half, the gameplay goal to cut him down as well. Here comes the attempted engage. GBM gonna turn invincible. He's got nothing to do to himself now. Putting into the back line, Pops and Zonia still won't go down, and the kill comes to Huhi. He's gonna be next. A double kill for Santorin, and it's 650, forced to run away. GBM heals again. This will be a 3-4-0, and whether you can run or not, it feels like NRG can catch up to you. And they have gotten several more kills, lots of map control. Anything they want is probably theirs.
And that is a hard combo to deal with as well. The Taric ultimate onto a ghosting Vladimir, who then uses Zonia's after the Taric ult runs out.
Yeah.
Boy, Huhi just has no way of surviving through this, it feels. And because of the 3 kills, NRG turn for Baron.
So many good synergies. I love the fact that you can Sanguine Pool into Taric ulti and guarantee you can't take damage ever. Aftermoon tried to steal. He's not going to get it. Flashes away from Quas. That was his payment for this. Darshan should be able to take the Cloud Drake reasonably well. Does plenty of damage, but this will at least be a Baron buff against triple Cloud Drake CLG, so they are quick. They are certainly fast, but the problem is they can't win 5-on-5.
No, and especially in this one, they had forfeited their out-of-combat move speed by trying part of the engage. So when NRG actually did try and fight, there were no bonuses for COG to be able to run away with. That means Terra Kaufman comes down during the Sanguine pool, so when he comes out of it, he can't take damage. When he can't take damage anymore, he goes back into stasis, and then, you know what? Now he can just kill you, because it's been so long, and the rest of the team is fighting there. So it's so difficult to fight this team.
Yeah, one of the big deals is the fact that NRG kills someone in the 2.5 seconds of invulnerability. Like, CLG had chunked NRG down very, very low. That's why they put the GP ulti down to chase through it. And he says, all right, screw it, go back in, be invincible. Okay, he's dead before anyone can get damage. I guess it's 5v4 now.
And this is actually very important. Even if COG were able to win the series after losing this game, like, the things that will let COG get third will be potentially tiebreakers that might come down to game score.
Right.
So they need to be as clean as possible in 4-0 this week if they want to get third place or to maximize their chance of getting third. Dropping a game here is very punishing for COG in their quest for third place.
Yeah, keep in mind, Cloud9 are one match ahead of CLG. The best CLG could do if they lose this match is go to a tiebreaker, which depends, again, as you said, on game score. And that's if C9 loses all their matches, which is increasingly unlikely as they're a solid team. Barrel chain, nice spell shield by OQ, top lane under pressure, of course. And a siege like this, of course, Cloud Drake is entirely useless for CLG, and you almost wish it were Infernal or Ocean at that point, but it's not going to be the case. So, turret getting whittled down, NRG playing without taking any Drakes this entire series, and looking good on this one. That's going to be the cannon minion going down. Pressure once again on this one. Is this going to be the takedown of the turret, the dive into the back line? GBM once again wants to get these kills. Kiwi can get a join in as well. They're all invincible, and Huhi just going to die under his turret. Nothing can stop them. Santorin on a rampage, literally and figuratively. A Stixxay running out of health. Can't stop the inhibitor from going down. Another 5v4, and that's going to be the chase down. OQ with another flash forward, his third of the game, I think, and gets another kill picked up. 6-0-7 onto him. Here comes the chase in for the Nexus itself, and NRG making work of Counter Logic Gaming in this second game of the series. A quick Gnar into the wall, looking for the stuns, looking for the kills, looking for the game-winning fight. A nice chain comes through. Smithy, wow! That's going to be Tides of Blood taking the Tides of the game over. NRG gonna take out game 2. Well played by them. They drafted for team fighting, they won them, and they've tied up the series.
Yeah, and that was a very strong team fighting energy. Even if they didn't have the cleanest communication in game 1, they had the inbuilt champion synergies in the next. Wasn't enough to like one-shot the whole team, which it's never really going to be unless you're 6-item gangplank. But yeah, never got there.
Never did get there. Of course, well played by the rest of NRG to make sure not too many barrels stayed up during the fights. No surprises really here in that we have the same sort of target bans coming out of CLG. They decided that those matchups are not something they've really practiced very much. No one else really plays the Alawi, no one else really plays the Twitch. But it means that, yeah, that final ban's going to be GBM's Vladimir, and now they've got to kind of make their last few choices with Sivir now off the table.
Exactly. 3 target bans, but they get the Malzahar just like they did in game 1, which I believe is very good for COG.
And now you expect to see probably Zilean come through. That's been what seems to be the counter pick in the matchup. And sort of as team comps interact, of course, CLG dropping that ban because they're more afraid of Vlad. And now the question is, does NRG want to go for that? We know GBM likes the Zilean, and can the comp work with it?
GBM was one of the first people to bring out the new Zilean in competitive play.
Yeah.
But just to go back to the 3 target bans from COG, NRG will need to find something that can excel, because in their 4-12 season, it seems like most of their wins have come when one player has an exceptional game. And a lot of that time, it's been Quas on Alawi or OQ on Twitch. And usually when GBM has the best game, it's on Vladimir.
Yeah.
So get rid of those guys. Make them beat you with something else.
And that's going to be the case here. So what will NRG play for themselves? Again, they know the mid lane matchup. And they're going to just pick utility right now in the bot lane. Ashe seems to be higher priority than Jhin. Karma, really no surprise. Teams are picking this first round red side the entire series, actually, I believe. And we know NRG's bot lane, probably.
Yeah, unless GBM decides to go for Karma, which is still a possibility. With Sivir being banned from a utility sense, the Ashe does actually have a decent amount of priority. But that also means that if COG want to pick some really hard initiation, they still can. The Gragas was very successful for them. course, that was aided by Bard, which is no longer available. So I'm interested to see what COG does here.
Yeah, seems like NRG has zeroed in on their bans pretty well and gotten rid of the options that CLG work best with. So, yep, reinforce the comp the right way. What's it going to be? All the junglers on the table. Plenty of top laners. We know Darshan loves to play Jax, for example. Could always be there. And the question is, are you going to try to out-utility them by playing Jhin, or are you going to play something different into the matchup? Ezreal, something that Stixxay is very good at, and actually Ezreal Soraka going to be there, so they can kite back, they can get away from the arrows, and an actual 5-on-5, and Vlad and Soraka, or Malzahar and Soraka are both very good.
Yeah, so definitely a bit of a throwback for COG here. I do think Stixxay's Ezreal is really good. So even though we see a lot of Sivir and Ashe and Jhin lately, Ezreal was kind of the trailblazer as far as that safe utility AD carry pick as being able to slow teams long term. Anyway, Stixxay can carry games on that. Soraka can secure a safer laning phase. And like you said, some good team fighting if NRG doesn't have good diving.
Yeah, the laning phase itself going to be pretty much okay. I feel like that's pretty much a tie, that 2-on-2 down there, if it ends up being Karma in the bot lane. If it's Braum or Alistar, gets more unique, but that's farther in the future. NRG, once again, being allowed to sort of pick whatever jungler they want. CLG had the option of taking any jungler they wanted. They'd rather wait to see the team comp. NRG goes back to the Xerath here. And this time, of course, keep in mind, CLG don't have great engage tools, right? They don't have that Ashe anymore. Maybe the Gragas comes in, but Hecarim got taken away. So now getting onto that Xerath is going to be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and Hecarim is the ban that is dropped, so they're going to have to be dealing with that potential snowballing force. And Hecarim can be very good into Soraka, not nearly as good into Ezreal, so it's a little bit of a blessing and a curse here. But I agree with you that COD doesn't necessarily have good initiation here, and that could be a big problem against Karma Xerath. However, with the fact that NRG has the Hecarim means they kind of have to engage if they want to play with like a one champion team comp.
Yeah, there's definitely some anti-synergy here, right? Xerath, at the very least, like we call him a poke champion, at the very least, he's always able to participate. If Hecarim and Ashe dive, you know Xerath is in range to hit somebody. So, you know, a forward motion comp does work for NRG here, of course. Counterlogic gaming, we'll see if they want to break that apart or play a little bit more to the back line. Right now, the hover's on Rek'Sai and Gnar, and those will be locked in. So, blind pick Gnar and Rek'Sai, not a huge surprise.
Yeah, Rek'Sai going up against it. We also do have to remind everyone that Zix, the guy who's been calling picks and bans on stage for, you know, a year and a half to 2 years for COG, is out sick. So even though he was helping with the preparation and the analyst they have on stage has been with them for a year and living in the house for a month, like the drafts are going to be a little different. And you even heard the analyst desk criticizing the COG draft in Game 2 fairly heavily. I don't see anything super wrong with this team composition for COG aside from the fact that they don't necessarily have the hard initiation to deal with the Xerath. A lot of it will come down to how they play in game.
Even the chance that Hecarim is a flex pick. Not that I think Hecarim Gnar is great, but kind of tilting back in on the options here. NRG have to come up with their comp. Kiwi Kid probably not going to lock in Udyr for his teammate here. I guess there's a chance, but it's unlikely. Instead, it will be a safe tank in the Maokai. So there's actually a lot of really good engage tools here for NRG. Hecarim and Maokai, two good divers. Xerath is there to help make sure the damage sticks. And with all the hard CC, you expect GBM to land almost every skill shot in these team fights.
Yeah, so even though Xerath does fit in a lot of poke comps in the context of this team composition for NRG, he's more long-range follow-up on initiation.
Yeah.
Because the Maokai, Hecarim, and Ashe, as well as the Karma, are very much about engaging onto potentially Aphromoo Soraka. And COG, they do have a strong team fighting force as well. They have a tank line, they have great damage dealers in the mid and bottom lane, and they have a very supportive support. So NRG was able to win last game with team fighting. COG picked a better team fighting team this time.
I do agree, and now the question is, how is it going to play out? Because as much as we're talking about probably the intended direction for NRG is forward, like outside of Hecarim, all these champs are pretty good at cutting back. Right, you've got the Karma, you've got an Ashe for volley, and Maokai is one of the better defensive tanks as well to help make sure whoever is diving, like a Gnar, just, I'm going to root you, I'm going to knock you away, you can't get into my team. And there's also good kiting back tools. Where, you know, the engage for CLG is unreliable, you've got a Karma and whatnot to help disengage for NRG. I think there are sort of more verbs in the vocabulary right now of NRG, ways they're allowed to play the game, and you know, CLG kind of on a first grade sort of literacy right here, trying to figure out if they can actually make this team comp work. I agree, a heads up 5-on-5 looks good for them, but the question is, are you going to play like it's 1776, or are you going to play a dynamic sort of guerrilla sort of game of League of Legends, and now coming into game 3, the question is, can CLG hold on to a top spot? NRG right now, if they can close out this match, will tie Phoenix 1 in match wins, and they own the head-to-head based on game score right now. The last match for NRG is TSN, last match for Phoenix 1 is Immortals. Both those you expect to be match losses, and if it goes that way and NRG wins here, NRG get 8th.
Yeah.
And the chance at 7th is also still alive.
And the chance at 3rd is still alive for CLG, but they definitely have to win this one. Cloud9 already went ahead in match score. The game score very close. Like, Team Liquid, I believe, plays Cloud9 tomorrow, so they would still need Team Liquid to be able to beat Cloud9 basically 2-0. Otherwise, CLG would have no chance. I'm not even sure if that loss would actually make it even more unlikely, just dropping the one game.
Yeah.
On top of that, just having momentum going into the playoffs. Like, CLG does not want to lose to a team heading into relegations.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the question here. CLG, of course, looking to defend their title, and losing to an 8th place team, 9th place team, not a way to look good heading into playoffs, even though that spot, that seed is secured to some extent. We'll see how the game is played out here. Quick dance moves by GBM. Looks really good. Burning up the dance floor.
Absolutely.
He's got the fiery skin.
Yeah, sapling stack from Quas. Could help Santorin's early jungle clear pretty immensely since...
Yeah. That is an atypical start as well, starting red.
It is. Although, I will say Hecarim does a lot of his damage with his Rampage, so the starting Krugs wouldn't be as necessary. He could also be a little bit worried about counter jungling.
I like actually, so here's what I think this is if it's a lane swap, normally you see the support tries to invade the jungle and push him off. This way, if it is a lane swap, Santorin gets his red and gets out, and gets a, you know, and
he just gets
allowed sort of thing, After in a bad spot though, ignited on, has to put the exhaust in, he's running out of health. Heal is up for Stixay! Ooh, that volley wasn't there. Cubic Kid getting traded back on, but lands the Q. Yeah, that Santorin finds out that it's a regular lane matchup anyway. Of course, his 2-on-2 down here was close, and we will have the junglers continuing to run through their jungles.
The level 1 from NRG there, really strong. Also, just to kind of double back on that jungling point, NRG has done a lot more experimentation in ways to mix up the very early game than other teams. I don't actually think it's worked for them that much, but they're definitely doing the exploration. Every once in a while, they come out ahead. So this one doesn't actually matter because there was an invade. Bottom lane, they do get an early lead, which will force CLG to burn through a lot of potions. But the Ezreal Soraka lane, like if you're not killing them, you're probably not denying that much from them in the long run.
Yeah, Ezreal great at last hitting from far away, so it shouldn't be too bad for him. OQ gets the haste shield to get some auto attacks on, and oof, Stixay, not in a good spot. Afro does not have level 2 just yet. He's been pushed back so far, he hasn't been able to level up yet. So still no heals coming through to Stixay, and boop, that's Santorin's.
Yes, it is. And I mean, CLG has to be a little bit careful of Santorin doing level 3 dive on the Soraka, and
ooh, and they spotted.
Remember, exhaust is already down.
I think they spotted Xmithie on the way down somehow because I saw warning pings down there. Xmithie knows that Santorin's around. They see each other. Now they know what's up. Both junglers are here. And of course, a double buff clear for Santorin meant that he has all the resources he needs. Afro finally level 2, can start giving Stixay some healing. And this lane should start to float back to okay.
Even so, that gives control to NRG. Santorin already has a blue buff. And who he had done an early base. So I think this is just a red buff. Oh my goodness.
Xmithie
goes
is
to
in,
5.
the smite fight's in there. Okay, Xmithie gets himself the red buff. Now the battle on a Santorin, a bit of a slow from Aframu, and they're actually pulling the teleporter from Darshan, who cancels, I think, correctly here. And now that's TP advantage for 3 minutes to Quas. Be careful, CLG.
The teleport was a bit much, but crazy from Xmithie. It's almost like he didn't even realize his red was being taken and he was tunneling over for safety because, like, the support was missing, the jungler. Maybe he knew it was being taken because he was able to win the smite fight afterwards, but a little bit of luck definitely has to go into that one, and Xmithie gets away with it and actually makes a very inefficient evade for Santorin.
All right, the time was lost. Looking at the jungler's XP right now, they're pretty close to equal. Small lead to Xmithie, but they'll both hit level 4 in the next camp right there. Damage back and forth once again, and yeah, CLG, look at this minion farm. Almost identical. Their health bars look okay. Sure, they're down a couple of potions, but it's not terrible. And kind of thankful for Aframu as well. He, realizing that his lane matchup's actually fairly aggressive against him, went coin, not Spell Thief. Spell Thief's actually more common on Soraka, or at least has been for the last few months. And this way, it's more passive. He's going to get more health restore after at full HP. Is going to be fine in a lane that started out so rough because of the extra regen.
Exactly. Super hard to deny Ezreal farm, especially with Soraka, unless you basically kill the Soraka before the heal is up, which almost happened.
Which it almost happened.
But because it didn't, that means that lane's going to split.
Okay, so they'll be equal. NRG small gold lead for themselves, plus 8 minions on GBM, plus a few on Quas as well. He's looked good against Darshan. Normally Nar's supposed to look okay in that matchup, but just some good early plays right now by the NRG top laner. Smithy came around to see if there was a dive. There wasn't one. Nothing to be done here. He'll recall and head back to the bot side of the jungle. They'll continue to track each other across the map, trying to infer what camps they're taking. Darshan misses the boomerang. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, Santorin as well, just, I think a lot of times on Hecarim, while you can pull off some ganks with Ghost if the enemy is overextended, generally I think you should just kind of be power farming, but if you look at the jungle, he has done the farming. The camps are gone. At this point, he's just trying to be as efficient as possible.
Surprised he didn't pink ward there, though. I guess he has the Raptor buff, so he went through to make sure there were no wards, but at that point, why put down a pink ward that serves no purpose other than it could be killed off? So takes the one camp he can. That's the scuttle. Down it goes. 70 gold. Levels up to 5. And he's going to head back to the bot side where the Gromp will spawn. Afro, nice silence. Trades pretty well with Kiwi Kid. He's got some healing, but oh, he overextends and forgot that Kiwi had Ignite. Supportal combat, and Kiwi gets first blood by himself.
The savvy vet Kiwi Kid gets the most random kill onto Aphromoo. Basically, Aphromoo was being really greedy with the way he was trying to freeze the wave right there. And like you said, probably just forgot Kiwi Kid had Ignite. Like a really rare yet big error from Aphromoo. Like, bunch of
He can
minions.
flash at any point here, by the way.
Gets rooted. Then
goes
decides
back
to
in.
trade back
Yeah.
with a cannon minion hitting him.
Yeah.
Uses exhaust as well. That goes kind of from bad to worse.
Yeah, he just realizes too late that he did the completely wrong thing. Aphromoo loses his life, shouldn't have, but good tenacity by Kiwi Kid. The rare mistake hurting the CLG support, though, of course. 300 gold lead to NRG. And Santorin says, get out of my jungle.
Yeah, and Kiwi Kid is here on the roam too. They don't run away. Smithy's he's got the ward. He wants to try and steal, but he realizes with the support here, he's got to run.
Not be able to get that one right here, so not the end of the world. Red buff going to go as expected. I believe CLG were able to get their own buffs appropriately in the first rotation of the jungle, and they'll probably get it again next time everything respawns around. So, lanes back to pretty close. You can see 57-59 in the mid lane, 55-51 up top. Bot lane not too bad. So it's been a not entirely uninteresting early game, but it's been a fairly equal trade of resources in most cases. So similar standings for both these squads. Santorin finds a ward to kill. Make sure it's not in the brush. In fact, just goes for the dive right now onto Stixxay and Aphromoo. He's going to get the knockback. No, he hits a minion. A misclick by Santorin.
Wow.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
That
and
happens.
because the flash was already up from Aphromoo, like basically you want to be able to force the flash before your ultimate. Otherwise, players are good enough to reactive flash that.
And Quas the preemptive flash does not want to be in range of Huhi's ultimate. So he flashed and was not, but that is Summoners down for Quas. Santorin going for the repeat gank, though, around the backhand side. Aphromoo only level 4. Should chug a potion, but he's not. He's going to face check into Santorin. Got to be careful. It's a level 6 Hecarim. Down to half HP again is Aphromoo. Smithy ults down to the bot side of the map, but they're going to have a roam coming in. Goes for the Fierce. Aphromoo is going to get himself picked off. Arrow's going to land into the snipe. He's going to go down for that one. The trade kill not going to happen to the Santorin. Afro, honestly, again, had potions to use, didn't use them, walked into a Hecarim, got picked off. 2 for 0, all the death being CLG support.
Yeah, not a good start for CLG. This bottom lane has been under constant pressure, and because of a little bit of like almost overconfidence from CLG, NRG is able to punish, and even still, the overconfidence.
Suddenly Quas is here. Darshan is in the mix as well, but it's a 5v4. Aphromoo does not have his ultimate. He cannot help from across the map. Darshan forced out. Great damage from GBM. Bottom lane still being pressured, and this actually looks bad for CLG's turret because still taking plenty of damage from OQ and Kiwi Kid.
Absolutely, and the whole team is down here. The flash ult!
The flash engage on a GBM. The knockup is there. He's going to flash over the silence, though, when that kill did not happen. But now a 2-man Gnar ulti from Darshan. Do they have the damage to kill off Quas? His ulti is on. He's just not taking enough damage to die. So the Summoners meaning nothing from CLG. The energy able to get away.
And they definitely do not have the damage, to answer your question. It's a Phage on Darshan and a tier on Stixxay. Like, this is way too early to be trying to do these things. Kiwi Kid can easily shield it away. The tankiness of the rest of NRG, like Quas, was enough to withstand. And a big win for NRG. Watching this one, right, like at this point, Stixxay and Aphromoo probably need to concede or at least go back to the turret. Instead, they really want to kill this pink ward, and Aphromoo walks up into the brush to kill the pink ward.
Yeah.
That allows GBM to pop his ultimate as the Asher arrive. Stixxay tries to get some damage back on it, but damage has already been done.
Rough stuff. NRG feeling good about this one, though. Positive for, of course, their team and their fans right now. Looking not too bad now. Finally, they're the team with a good early game lead. This hasn't happened so far, really, this series. But they found the early couple of kills, looking nice for themselves. And they can maybe ride this one home and at least temporarily hold control of 8th place if they can win this one. The chance of 7th, I believe, still holds up. I know there's some interesting game score requirements. But they would need, actually, I think, Phoenix 1 to win a game, and themselves as well to get themselves in a 3-way tie. A long shot, but still there. But even just 8th is an improvement over where they sit right now. Santorin look for the mid lane dive.
Want the 3-man dive.
Passive pops off. Tackle on a Huhi. There's the root. He's got nowhere to go. Easy kill on a Malzahar. Shouldn't be anything else but that. GBM walks away cleanly. So again, NRG, the team with the initiative, making the dives happen. Feeling good about this squad. And
Yeah.
solid early game.
That was actually just a really good dive from NRG.
Yeah.
They recognized when Huhi would be going for the blue buff. They knew when he was going to be going back to lane. They had the people in place beforehand. COG didn't have the wards, and they even get the kill onto the right person. Like, that was perfect from NRG.
And it might continue to go well for them. 1,100 gold lead, gonna be nice. Bot lane, heavy priority. Look at that, plus 16 minions down there. A really nice lead for OQ and Kiwi Kid down there. Stixxay just chunked out. And look at the damage coming across. Afro's to put the silence field down to push OQ off of him and toss some more heals, but he's out of health right now. A dive would kill Afro without much of a care. Turret's gonna go down.
Whoa.
No, Kiwi did not expect the mini wave to be there. You could have timed that though, and now without flash, here comes the knockup for Xmithy. Trading back in towards Afro. Pop steal to stay alive. That's gonna be the kill picked up. Sadly for Afro, he takes the kill though. I wanted to get that to his carry, but an overextension by Kiwi Kid turns into a death, and CLG claw back a little bit closer.
It's a good thing that action happened so quickly, because I was really ready to just lay a bunch of praise on NRG's bottom lane. Talking about, like, man, when's the last time these guys have crushed? They're doing so well, keeping the pressure on. And then he just, like, overly aggressively flashes without having vision of the jungler and gets punished.
Yeah.
Kind of giving back some of this lane. They don't even finish the turret, which they might have been able to do if they hadn't even gone for the kill.
So they're gonna go for the kill in the mid lane right there. Again, Huhi's passive popped off. There's the tackle, into the stun, into the fear, and everything else. And there was literally nothing Huhi could have done about that except not be in the lane anymore. Another good dive. Santorin and GBM joined at the hip. Quas and Darshan fighting back and forth. Looks okay for the Gnar. It's actually Quas running away into the brush, and there's the disengage.
Yeah, GBM, though, is getting fed this game, and a lot of it is just the team is setting up very well around him, and he's capitalizing. Plus, he's on his comfort champion. He's had very inconsistent games this split, but it seems like this series, Hermit's been able to get him onto the champions he can excel on. Xerath twice, Vladimir once, and really the third quality game in a row from GBM.
I definitely agree. So now the pressure continues as NRG are going to get the first turret of the game. Kiwi Kid snipes the last hit on that one, but 1,500 gold lead for NRG in this third game against Counterlogic Gaming. And again, you talk about the fact that this is not the end of the season for either of these teams. Once they're done with the regular season, almost definitely both these squads will be playing at least one more best of 5. NRG maybe in the promo tournament, CLG in the playoffs, and NRG being in shape coming into that situation is a good spot to be in. If you can beat the number 3, number 4, number 5 team in North America, you can probably beat a squad like Team Liquid Academy or something. And we'll see if they can make this a successful year for them. And we'll see them in 2017 in the LCS. Yeah. That's the goal, is stay in the LCS one way or another.
You got to be able to reassess your goals, refocus towards them. Obviously, when NRG rebuilt the roster around GBM, their aspirations were playoffs and how far can they go? Can they make worlds? But as the season hit more and more roadblocks, they have to retool and just kind of think, okay, we're not in playoffs, but we better stay in the LCS like we've got to do in this promotion tournament. And that means towards the end of the season, you have to play for the best seeding as possible, as well as just figure out how to play well. And so far here, the unlocking Santorin, as well as really just focusing around GBM. Instead of just having GBM sit back and passively farm and try and carry late game, almost all of the ganks from the top lane roaming to the support to the jungler coming, it's a party in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And when GBM gets a lead, it allows him to carry the game.
Yeah, it feels like they found things that worked well into the Malzahar. You know, in the first game, CLG thought the Zillion ban was all they needed to make it work, and in fact, they did win that first game, but now you can see the Hecarim, Maokai, Xerath are working, and it's going to be a trade of this top lane turret soon enough for that Drake.
With that being said, though, that Ocean Drake could be huge for CLG, and this game is still only 1,300 gold in the difference, and Malzahar, even though he is 0-2 on it, can still be pretty tremendous in the late game if they can't instantly kill him with clean dives. So by no means is this series over. CLG does have to fight back, though.
They get to steal away a blue buff, nice for them. NRG, actually, they had sent their whole team topside. I thought that top tower was just going to die. They had sent 4 up there. They're going to go for it on this wave instead, waiting for CLG's dual lane to show up. A ward on that brush, NRG hiding away properly here. Sweep comes through and attempt at the blue buff steal. Top lane outer should be probably being picked off soon enough. The roams for Smithy. He's going to really try for this one. GBM preemptive Ghost does not want to be picked off. They know the CC layering is scary. Santorin has to smite the blue buff himself. So who he actually got the blue? Smithy was able to transfer that. Santorin actually had to smite this one away. So not quite an equal trade, though they both got a blue buff. There goes the Rift Herald, runs away from that one. Pink ward controlled away by Smithy, and careful. Yeah, he's going to be fine. No root's going to land, jumps over the wall.
You're saving his tunnel, getting the Rift, the Scuttle Crab control, pretty important. But they have to be able to get over here to protect the mid laner, who he has been just dove over and over again. And now most of energy is here to try and get him.
Lands. The passive is off once again. Thankfully for Huhi, though, his team is around, and CLG will make sure he doesn't get dove just yet under this turret. More poke, and there's a flash engage on a GBM. Arrow's going to turn it back off. He's able to flash to stay alive. Suppression is gone by now. Smithy going to get rooted up. Silence comes across on a Santorin. More poke coming across. Smithy on a 400 HP. Quas burns teleport to join the fight. Still did not have to burn that summoner themselves. And they get an extra summoner burned out of the energy top laner. 0 for 0.
Yeah, but also Flash is burned in the mid lane, and considering the amount of support that GBM has been getting, having no Flash against a Hecarim and a Maokai with a Flash usually means you die unless you have a bunch of teammates around you. So I understand the idea for COG to try and get that burst on a GBM, but unless they can lock him down before he flashes away, it's not going to be a kill, and it's just going to mean that Hui's going to be down to Flash for the next game.
Well, then danger on the CLG mid laner. They've got to be careful with this one. The gold lead staying at 1,700. It is fairly close. That Ocean Drake of some use when you're facing against a little bit of poke for yourselves. Ocean Drake on Soraka, by the way, is just absolutely amazing. You have what essentially amounts to infinite health and mana to battery your teams up. So CLG going to feel really good in siege situations, but they've had a hard time closing the games out cleanly. All of the games in this series so far have been won on the back of 5-on-5 team fights. In game 1, it was a really elegant one by CLG that got them fair into the game-winning push. In game 2, NRG just could not be stopped as they had that Vladimir dive to the back line, and we may be headed for a very similar situation here with Santorin and Quas diving the back line, GBM putting the damage over top, and CLG has to be able to withstand that situation. Yeah.
In this game, however, NRG has had the better laning phase of all 3 of the games.
Right.
They approached this stage in games 1 and 2 from a deficit, so the fact they have a lead here, as well as the ability to initiate pretty heavy team fights, does put them in a good position to maybe take the series.
And NRG's going to hope they can do that in their second to last match of the regular season. Oki will knock down the top lane outer turret. NRG once again up a turret in score and up 2,000 gold. That is an unanswered turret take. It just feels like they've got so much priority in several of these lanes right now. NRG in a good spot. Stixxay playing a bit defensively, knocking the wave down. Quas actually going to stay and hold the lane and again kind of remove the options from CLG's playbook. They're not allowed to push in top lane. Sorry, Maokai's already there to get rid of the minions. There's a sapling. No push allowed. Wait 30 more seconds and gives time for NRG to regroup. Even if Afro fights for minion wave control and for ward control, doesn't matter. Nothing to push the turret with.
Yeah, I will say though, this game is only 2,000 different, and CLG is building for the split push. You look at the way Darshan is itemized already. Black Cleaver first, Pickaxe second, probably going up towards the Frozen Mallet. And the 3-man core of Ezreal, Malzahar, and Soraka is really hard to push in for NRG. They'd have to get some very clean dives off to make this a thing. So CLG is falling back on what they used to fall back on, right? And I've seen them win a ton of games from similar positions because they just rotate better, they stall out for the right time, and then they find the right team fight. So it is on NRG to not let COG prolong this game with good split pushing.
We'll see if that's going to be the case then. Mid lane getting attacked. It's going to lose a fair bit of health. CLG, you just saw a second ago, was able to equalize a turret score in the top lane. As the energy resources were on the other sides of the map. They pull OQ into the mid, which gives Darshan room to split push on the bot side of the map. But the chain's gonna land. Afro's trying to dodge. Here comes the onslaught of shadows, and Afromu gives up his 3rd kill of the game. Darshan's still splitting in the bot with decent attack damage, and that's gonna be a lot of this turret.
Yeah, tough death for Afromu to take, but if they're able to get a turret off of it, it's kind of worth it. Darshan, though, needs to be able to play this safe, recognizes he can't get all of the turret now, but based on the heavy AD Gnar build he is building, and the fact that Quas is already 30 CS down and has a Spectre's Cal, which is a bit of a team fighting item, will mean that Darshan can get that turret late.
See if they can get that one. Ooh, yeah, GB has to ghost away because he was afraid of getting knocked up into Malzahar. And that wasn't the case, but bot lane turret now very, very, very low. Mid lane outer did not go down either. Energy didn't pick that one up just yet, but this is a nice snipe by GBM.
It really is. Yeah, he gets the stun into the max damage W, and then the Ash Arrow looked like it was going to kill, but the stun doesn't wear off. Centaur comes in and be like, oh, yeah, I'll help.
Yeah, but good coordination, right?
Oh,
able to tell OQ in time. Mountain Drake going to go to CLG. Yet again, they are controlling, I think, actually every single Drake this entire series. I don't believe Energy's gotten a single one in all 3 games so far. You know, never getting any Infernal Drakes, so they're never getting the team fight ones. But CLG hoping to play the resource game well enough. Darshan going to turn into Mini Gnar, running away, trying to get out, and he will do so.
Pretty
after
easy
refills
retreat.
health bar.
Getting the Mountain Drake will play into the split push strategy that COG wants pretty well. So even though Afromu has gotten caught out a bunch, Energy has gotten a bunch of good dives, COD still has a game plan. And Energy, as the team that is advantage, shouldn't be giving these Drakes over. It just speaks to a bit of a lack of wave control and lack of coordination that COD should hope to exploit.
We'll see if they can make that happen. You talk about wave control, though. I like what Quas has done. He knows he's not going to be able to stand up to Darshan one-on-one, so he went for his Rot Portal 2nd item. Actually, sorry, 1st major item.
It's true. Although, I will say, talking to some players, Quas does this stuff every game on Maokai. Like, his thing is to rush a Raptor's Cloak and go double Doran's Ring. Like, no matter the matchup. It's just the way he loves to play Maokai. I do agree that this Rot Portal will make it more difficult for Darshan to push.
And you can see right now it's just kind of feeding resources to the bot lane. Another smite by Xmithy. It's actually 2 red buffs he's taken from under Santorin's nose. And that might bode positive things. This game comes down to a Baron steal. Xmithy definitely one of the best smiters. Santorin good too, but so far Xmithy doing better in this game. 1,400 separates these squads. A tight game to be certain. As looks like Darshan found this Rot Portal. He'll knock that down. No more flood of little void spawns for Quas down there until it comes back to cooldown. Yep, thank you, Observer.
I want to see Santorin farming a little bit harder in this game. He has the kill and the 3 assists, but Hecarim should be power farming at this point because if he doesn't get tanky enough on top of his Trinity Force, it would mean if they don't instantly kill Huhi, he will die very easily to Malzahar and Israel.
Right, he's got no Cinderhulk and no magic resist items. He's got 55 MR and under 2,000 health. That is not a lot of durability when you consider, you compare Quas, who's like, yeah, Spectre's Cowls, Rot Portal, MR, I'm ready to, you know, to survive a Malzahar here. So yeah, I agree, Santorin can definitely be picked off if he's not too careful. Right now sitting on only 500 gold, so he's got a ways to go. Ruby Crystal picked up, he's, you know, again, needs the various combines. Mid lane control there for GBM, easy enough for him. 6A actually getting away with this one. He knows that mid is still under some fire. Huhi, though, able to actually play the wave clear duty. No one pressured him under this turret. He's okay. GBM waiting in the wings. Seeing if there's an opening. They get an arrow onto Xmithy, but he's just too tanky. He's got the Mercury Treads. And actually, wow, Huhi face checks the brush. Has to flash away, goes to re-engage, and can't find the target. GBM slowed down a little bit by a boomerang, but it doesn't mean too much.
Yeah.
Huhi out of summoners now.
That was a little bit odd by Huhi to use both summoners just like that. Looked like COD was grouping up to try and make a play while Quas was off taking a wave, and I'm a little surprised COD just didn't continue to kind of play their game, which was the 4-1 or the 1-3-1. Because they have basically turned this into a COD-style game where they should technically be most comfortable.
See, Darshan feels comfortable fighting Quas right now, up 2 levels. You talked about earlier Santorin trying to get some farm, but also keep in mind Quas has been giving away a lot to the rest of his teammates, and this matchup is heavily advantaged towards Darshan, both in build and in champions a little bit, and in the actual resource available to these players with experience in gold. So it is a difficult road for Quas. He picked into the matchup, he picked it for the team comp, not for the lane. So CLG said, okay, well, then we'll abuse the lane and we'll try to not have the team comps interact globally as much. And you mentioned CLG good at playing this game, and there's the turret going down. Darshan getting that advantage for himself in the one-on-one. Nicely done there. Mid lane even under pressure. 60 doing a good job of pushing out GBM, who does not have very much mana. Arrow actually not going to land. And CLG's resources stay full thanks to the Ocean Drake. The turrets die faster thanks to Mountain.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good.
Iceborne completed for Stixxay, making it a little bit harder for NRG to stay engaged. Aframo with the Ocean Drake, and now max levels in heal can sustain up through the poke better. Things are kind of beginning to turn back for CLG a bit, as long as NRG can't get the clean initiations.
And that's the difficulty right now is, and the thing is NRG have the comp for it. Like, they can get in. They know they can toss out Ash arrows, they can, toss out Pecker multis and whatnot, but they haven't come in just yet. Once again, blue buff under control, and GBM being denied all this mana is actually a pretty big deal. He's lost several blue buffs in a row now. Doesn't have the mana to wave clear always. Smithy in a 1 versus 2, but feels safe enough with his teammates nearby.
And even Smithy has 2 levels on Santorin.
Yeah.
Like, the experience advantages are spread interestingly. Darshan above Quas, Smithy above Santorin,
GBM and Oki +1.
Are +1 on the mid and AD carry. I think a lot of that is because Stixxay and Huhi have, aside from this moment where he's on the side lane, done a bit of a buddy system where they're staying next to each other to create safety and not let them get isolated by Santorin and GBM. Then it's Darshan who's getting a lot of the free waves, and Smithy who's just doing a bunch of farming, because that is basically the 1-3-1 setup that CLG would like to have, and that spreads the experience in exactly that way.
And most of these elements for CLG are reasonably safe on their own, as long as they're kind of paying attention, right? He can't be arrowed without getting his passive worn off. Stixxay can arcane shift out. Darshan can leave. They've got flashes as well, so yeah, CLG have played safely enough to not get picked off, but here comes Infernal Drake spawning in 6 seconds. CLG were first to get themselves map control. They've got a Scuttle Crab in front of them as well. NRG wants to knock down mid lane first. CLG have reacted in time to stop that. Mega Gnar gets popped, so it won't be able to fight.
Yeah, and this could be the danger. Darshan is not a team-fighting build.
A ton of CC. They're going to try to pick him off. The heals come through, and he's still going to get dropped down. Quas going to trade his life, but he is tanky on this Maokai. It still will be the kill trade. Both top laners are dead, with one built for team fighting, one built for split push. 1-for-1's not bad for CLG.
Yeah, the lead that Darshan had, though, is now out of the fight. And it would still be a 4v4. GBM as well still has an ultimate. The Hawk Shot reveals. Let's see what GBM decides to do. A lot of mid lane pressure from CLG could just give them another Drake.
CLG were just first to push it. They made it happen. They knocked it all down. Well played by them, and that's going to be Infernal picked up. So now, can't be what they are. They've got some actual team fight stats thanks to that Drake pickup, and it's going to make a potential 5-on-5 look a little bit better for them.
Yeah, CLG able to come back in games, even though nothing huge is happening. It's just a bunch of little things. Darshan, though, was hoping to find that opportunity. Just gets chain stunned. Can't even get off his Gnar ultimate before dropping, but Quas is also in, and now Huhi might be caught.
He's taking too much damage, gets tackled, and it gets taken out. Nice job by Santorin and Quas. Ooh, Ash arrow nearly lands as well. Stixxay's okay, though. After running out of health, it's CLG kind of running back, and this one Smithy stuck in the front lines. Can't get the kill in the Q just yet. Stixxay in the back line, he can't land the Q, and he's got to be careful now. A big Gnar ult comes across, so Darshan's setting it for CLG. Here's the flash away, GBM having to run for his life. Smithy low on health, but won't get sniped just yet. Afro is out of mana, waiting for the Ocean Drink to get some back in, but it's a kill on the Darshan. A nice pickup there. Quas, ooh, be careful, CLG. Quas is a scary cat tree hybrid thing, and you've got to be afraid of this one. Mid lane outer will be going down. NRG coming out ahead in that fight. Looks like 2-for-0.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure why CLG is in position to even have these team fights happen. Because when Huhi goes down at the very beginning of that fight, as good as Darshan's Gnar ultimate is going to be, the majority of this team's team fighting damage is on the Malzahar. So if he goes down at the start of the fight, CLG should be disengaging instead of re-engaging was what they're trying to do there. And yes, NRG is able to win that fight because they killed the Malzahar right at the start.
Good for NRG to find that pick, though. It's always been their advantage here with this composition, and it comes through. So it's 8-2 in kills. The gold lead actually nearly 2,500. It's reasonable now for NRG. They've got a good spot.
Yeah, so to see how this started was actually a teleport from base to get behind them, and Santorin runs in with Ghost. So Hui had nowhere to run. But the rest of COG should still just be running, in my opinion. After looking flash back and Xfinity, Darshan should have decided to go in. But they decide to fight it anyway. Darshan is a very heavy damage Gnar. Stixxay chases a kill over the wall. From Kiwikin is unable to get it, and because of those kills, energy's actually turning to Baron. But this is risky.
CLG are aware, but Darshan is on the other side of the map without teleport. So it's a 5v4 arrow, but a nice ton of Xfinity gets him out of range. That is now OQ's ultimate on cooldown. Drop portal sent to the top lane. Top wave has priority. Xfinity's going to control mid right now for CLG. Afro getting chunked out, has to flash away, and thankfully for him, survives GBM's onslaught. But now it's going to be more damage across. They just tackle Santorin. Look at the damage of it. They've picked off the Hecarim already, and now the team is re-engaged. Darshan is here. Megadon's going to pick up Quas, but be careful. Darshan's running out of health. This Gnar just barely survives it. Tosses out one more heal, and he's going to be okay. Quas actually dies at 2 for 0. CLG able to withstand the pressure just enough. Afro tossing in the heals, finding the CC. Hui just tackling Santorin was a big deal.
Yeah, that was really huge. But also just notice the difference of having a Malzahar in the fight versus NRG not having a clean initiation on anyone. So like COG did play Kite back. I don't think they necessarily wanted the team fight, but the way NRG overexposed themselves without getting the kill meant COG didn't have to disengage fully on that fight. And they fight back pretty well.
Definitely well for them. Close though for Afro. He had to flash to get away from some of that Xerath damage, and now it's down. So round 2 could be bad for the CLG support, but he's turned it around a little bit better. Going for the healing items, going to try to keep his team afloat here. We can watch the fight again.
Yeah, you can see he gets one soul onto Afro and thinks, okay, I can kill him. The Q and the 3 Rs.
And he gets 5 if you hit some. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the Xerath changes. Here we go. But then just a big combo from Darshan as he's able to jump in, stuns Quas into the wall. At this point as well, GBM already is just so far back in the fight, he doesn't want to move past, and Hui had his passive up that whole time, so it was really hard to engage on him.
Woo. Tight timing there. Thankfully for Stixxay gets away from Ash's arrow, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing is it's not that OQ's accuracy is bad on Ash by any means. He's landed quite a lot of arrows. Problem is,
it's a really hard team to hit.
It's really hard to hit, exactly. Or it's just a Mercury Treads Rek'Sai who's tunneling at this point. Like, there's so many move blocks that CLG can use to make sure they're not getting tackled here.
Exactly. The tanks have Mercury Treads. The mid laner is invulnerable. Yeah. The duo lane has one guy that shifts away. If he hits Aphromoo, though, they get him. That's basically the one target he should be aiming for, and that makes it difficult.
As long as Afro positions well, he's got teammates to hide behind. The mid lane pressure is here. No Baron buff, but just CLG fighting with a small 1,300 gold lead, but looking to keep their hopes at a third place seed in the playoffs alive. And it's them disengaging now, 5-3 in turrets, down 4 kills, but it does not seem to matter because CLG aren't just playing the team fight game.
Right, and they were able to stall out that 5-kill-to-1 disadvantage by split pushing and getting them up to
TP flank coming in though.
Levels. It's a really far back flank. Let's see who they can get.
Slow. They're going to get him. The tackle's there. Gets the shields, but he's not going to have enough health. Then the kill's going to come through. Now it's on a Quas. The Malzahar doing quite a bit of damage. They've also picked off Santorin. It's a 4-on-4. Support and jungler are dead. Stixxay onto Quas, but gets Asher, or the follow's going to be there. GBM wants him. He's going to get that kill picked up. Smithy trading back with Quas, turns the kill around, but it's CLG missing an AD carry. It's a 3 versus 3 yet again. Darshan flashing in for a boomerang slow. Can't quite get enough with the hyper. Smithy, whoa! Way too aggressive. Gets taken out of the turret, CLG. What are you thinking? A little silly right there. Goes -1 in the team fight. GBM doesn't quite land this low into Darshan. But now it's a 3v2 on the field. NRG hold more members. They've got waves to clear.
Yeah, Smithy was thinking he had a Taric behind him that was making him invulnerable, but he definitely did not, because it could have been a nice 2-for-2 turnaround, even though that was a huge initiation attempt by NRG and they were able to kill fairly early on in the fight, but because of the overchase, it gives an extra kill back to NRG. Right at the start, Afro does juke the first one, but then he starts getting hit by the subsequent shots, and because the teleport flag gets him, also Darshan didn't have a great Gnar ultimate, just stunning Cross into the side, but even with that, since Hui was untouched and Stixxay is getting pretty far ahead on the Ezreal, they did a bunch of damage, but a nice stun right over the wall from the Ash arrow to chain with GBM. But at this point, the fight should just be over. Darshan flashed forward, which made Xmithy think he should go as well. It was definitely a team call. They just kind of go all in, and Xmithy was trying to support the team. It's just too far.
And it didn't happen right there. So Ocean Drake picked up by the Malzahar solo. Double Ocean now for CLG. They've got so much sustain. If Afro does not get one shot, he's got infinite resources to give over.
Yep. He needs to get as tanky as possible because he's the one everyone's going to be trying to kill.
Well, he's going to try. Ruby Sightstone done. Locket shield is there. Getting what health he can, of course. Game basically identical in gold right now. 55 and change thousand. We know that NRG have the tools to make these fights work. We see GBM sometimes initiating with the ultimate. The Rylai slow setting up for Santorin's Hecarim. Quas with DP flanks, all the above. CLG trying to play split push and trying to kite it out. Darshan now building towards some tank items. Spectre's Cowl, Warden's Mail both in.
Yeah.
OQ, critical mass here. 3 big damage items are in. 70% crit chance with an Infinity Edge. That is scary. Arrow's not going to quite land in the mid lane. Good dodge by Afromu. CLG hold most of their flashes.
Yeah.
NRG in the same boat. Everyone but the top lane is holding that Summoner spell. No TP for Quas though, so CLG have the split push advantage.
Exactly. And this game does look like CLG is back in control a little bit, even though they're down 5 kills because of the 5 Drakes, but he wants the fight.
Anytime Huhi's passive gets poked off, the attempt to push in happens. Stixxay needs to get some healing back from Afromu. He's going to be all right. Yeah, 2 heals in. Again, you can see the damage GBM does. That is one spell, is half of Stixxay's.
His death cap with Haunting Guys as well is trying to punish Stixxay, who hasn't finished any magic resist items yet. So, like, it's a really aggressive build by Stixxay, and they're actually going for Baron. This could be disaster, but it's NRG's bet to try and win the game.
It could be anything. Here we go. Darshan has teleport. The ward's going to be down to find a spot to jump to.
CLG's going for the split push. They're hoping to get energy off this while Darshan takes an inhibitor. It's getting lower. CLG should be doing a harder commit here.
They're dedicating to him. GBM at 1,000 health, 4,000 left on Baron. Spinning the front line. Here comes the teleport in the back line. It's going to be the tackle on a Santorin. Quas getting locked up as well. The damage is just not there to pick off CLG's backline. Huhi running out of health. The shield, and he can't heal him enough. The Morellonomicon stopped enough healing to trade back the mid laner, and in fact, Darshan never even joined the fight, so he got the inhibitor turret itself. CLG actually re-engaging for Baron Nashor.
And because NRG has to go back for Darshan, they're actually just canceling their recalls over and over again. They're probably losing the inhibitor. I don't even know if CLG needs to finish this one, but they know if they don't get engaged on, they can smite it.
NRG gonna give away the inhibitor to play for the
NRG's got to do something.
GBM's got to try to steal. He's going to go for it. They're going to try to layer the damage, and it's going to be Stixxay, actually. Smithy didn't even land the smite. And now here comes the chase, though. He's getting slowed down, picked off, running out of health. OQ lands the stun in top of a ward. Smithy could go down, goes for the flash engage, trying to turn it around. Afro lands the flash in, and it's OQ not able to withstand the damage. He does trade back 2 for 2, and CLG have Baron on 2 people, but the bot inhib and 1 Nexus turret is dead. CLG in control of the map.
And this is why CLG likes to push games towards split pushing, because they make better decisions than their opponents. They know NRG has communication issues, and it was so apparent in that series of events. The Baron starting at this, the Baron and the peel off the Baron, where only 2 members of NRG go to try and kill CLG, and the rest get paralyzed by Darshan's channeling teleport. Darshan doesn't even finish it. He gets the inhibitor, the continuation of NRG not just giving up the Baron, but instead trying to steal it without smite, when they could have just gone back and stopped the split push. So many things happen. Watching this again, you can see Smithy's just holding, and NRG does not kill this Baron very quickly because GBM and OQ aren't doing much damage. Quas flashes in, but everyone else on NRG is just tracked by that teleport, which is canceled. By the time NRG decides they can follow through, their front line is already dead, and even though GBM lands all of his shots, it doesn't matter by that point, and CLG just make good decision after good decision in high-risk, high-pressure situations, and they pull ahead in this game.
Very, very well played by Counterlogic Gaming. This is one of their trademark strengths, is the great shot calling in tight situations. There's a few teams who've done this famously well. Cloud9, back in the old days, another one that comes to mind. High, very often praised for his poise under pressure, and Counterlogic Gaming, another team definitely that have that strength right now, and that pressure worked out for them. So here comes the push with the top side. Again, only 2 people have the Baron buff. It's Darshan and Stixxay. Those are the ones that survived the actual Baron dance from before, but that's enough to buff up this wave of minions. That's going to be another turret going down. That's 8 to 4 in turret. CLG's still down in kills, but they're playing the map better. Yeah, I don't care if the team fights aren't great for them. They're doing everything else just right.
Yeah. And we have to bring up the double Ocean Drake Soraka, which makes it so apparent that NRG has to get a clean initiation for anything to really happen. This minion wave is huge, and CLG is just poking at it.
A little bit more damage done. That turret down well below half HP. Double cannon minions up, but they are taken out pretty cleanly. A couple more attacks will do it. There's the volley. There's it getting picked off. Bottom lane is starting to stack up, though. Double super minions going to start pushing into the base, and there's only one Nexus turret, so this will at some point require action from NRG. Afro, this does not lose resources now. Top lane turret losing even more health. They've got to be afraid of Quas, but they know his flash is down, and that means this turret's going to fall. Darshan healthy enough. He's got a Guardian Angel, and he's Meganar. NRG have to give that respect because they know it could be scary. We can poke around a little bit more. Damage continues on to the inhibitor itself. 3/4. Stixxay takes some poke. After, you can see how far back he's playing. He's not even in range of anything right now. He knows his job is to stay healthy, to stay alive. Here comes the attempt. The arrow is going to hit Aframu. This is the time right now for NRG. One more shot, and it's not quite going to kill him. That was the final blow. And Afra says, okay, I'll wait for Ocean Drake. I'll wait to regen back up. No big problem here. Inhibitor close to falling. Darshan walks up, and that's going to be it picked up. They're okay. Wish used to make sure it was all going to be all right, and he just knew that it was fine. Darshan, though, loses the Guardian Angel. How good's the re-engage going to be? Afro, practically full health already. Exaggeration, but close enough here in this one. Giving health back to the rest of his team. He had literally 5 HP. He's half health right now.
He didn't even use his ultimate when he was getting hit by GBM. So he was hoping he'd be safe. He also had Mikhail's. He could have used that on himself. But
he did lock it. That was the one thing.
He locked it.
He remembered he had active items, but he just knew how much damage he was taking.
He did just enough. Anyway, that's 2 inhibitors down for COG right now. A successful siege. Even though NRG was doing stuff to try and stop that, they were never willing to fully commit. Because if they would have lost that, they would have lost the game. But I mean, they're well on their way right now. I think they said they'd rather try and fight at an Elder Drake than at an inhibitor. But with 2 inhibitors down already, maybe they can't even fight at the Elder Drake, where COG is moving towards right now.
Well, we'll see what happens. NRG wants to fight for this one, but again, only 1 Nexus turret and 2 inhibitors down means you've got to play around the map control. Ashe is nowhere to be seen in this attempt for a fight, and that's GBM forced to ghost to get away from a threat of a dive by CLG. Here comes the attempt on the Elder Dragon. It will be slow going. They have a Mountain Drake to speed it up a little bit. And let's see what happens. Santorin wants to walk forward. Smite fight could be there.
NRG should just go all in. Like, they actually don't have the time to make this quick initiation. Now, it's too late.
CLGs, they've got even more regen now. 1.5 Infernal Drakes, 1.5 Mountain Drakes, and 3 Ocean Drakes, essentially, for the next 2 minutes right here. Plenty of bird damage available. Sieging should not be hard, but you've got an Ezreal and a Malzahar to land long-range poke damage and burn your opponents down.
Yep, 235 is the value of the true damage burn when you have 4 Elemental Drakes to stack up with it. That will be over 3 seconds. That'll be on top of the damage that Stixxay would do with a single Q.
So basically, life is difficult for Team NRG. We'll see if NRG Esports can actually withstand this. It's going to be difficult. Smithy locked up, down to half health. He's got to get the heals back in from Aframu. Shouldn't be too hard for them. There goes the turret, and now it's time for the inhibitor itself. Bottom lane did respawn, so it's only the top lane has been taken out right now. They continue to poke back and forth. Stixxay dodges GBM's damage. And I guess, even if Smithy can land long-range poke, almost everyone on CLG has some kind of long-range tool. For the Stixxay, though, dropped a little bit low. They've got to be careful. The heal's not coming in just yet. The Soraka pretty far in the back lines. Afro's got to respect all of this. Another stun to Smithy, down to half HP himself, but that's not going to be too long until it's, again, tossed back off. Middle inhibitor is gone. Bunch of damage coming through, and the flash engagement. OQE QSS is out. Now, who he's got to be a little bit careful. His passive's gone.
And NRG doesn't want to fight because of the Elder Drake.
But they've got Huhi, the CC is there, he overextends, but now the CC is in. It's the tackle for Meganar. Look at the damage up what they've got, and it's going to be Santorin trying to turn things around. Quas putting the damage, running back to the fountain, gets knocked up, but he's going to just barely stay alive, but he's not going to actually. Darshan with a triple kill, it's a quadra kill, and it's only Santorin alive. Just give it to him, Santorin. Be a bro, give it to Darshan.
COD really wants the top laner Penta, or are they just going to take the game? He's
They're
so
not
tanky.
going to get it. It's
so hard
going
to kill
to be the
him.
game. It's going to be the series on the back of a quadra kill by Darshan. It's Counter Logic Gaming to take a hard-fought victory over NRG Esports.
Yeah, those were Darshan's only 4 kills in the game, but it was kind of decided long before that. COG has a tremendous amount of teamwork and a tremendous amount of trust, which is one of the big reasons they've been able to be back-to-back champions of the North American LCS, because in this game, there were so many things that could have tilted or ended the game for other teams. Huhi having a 7 to 8 death game in game 2, coming back and starting 0-2. Aframu for having an inexcusable death 1v1 to give up first blood to Kiwi Kid. Yet they just shrug all of that off they refocus, they start split pushing halfway through the game, and then they just start making better decisions than the other team. Even if the prior decisions have been mistakes, they just continue to trust each other, continue to execute, and continue to play their game.
So that puts Counter Logic Gaming up a little